So, Michael, I've gotten in the habit of starting off these podcasts by talking about like what kind of podcast. I'm like, oh, it's a banger this week, or like, oh, it's a real weird mix this week. And I'm starting to worry that people might be turning off the podcast if they hear me say, we got a real potpourri of news this week. So I'm just going to say, welcome back to the greatest RageSelect podcast that's ever occurred here on RageSelect. Don't turn it off, don't turn it off, don't turn it off. I'm Jeff.
I'm Mike. You should just say it's the dog shittest news ever.
The
just
dog
to see what
shit
would happen.
to
see what would happen.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible, you guys.
It's just pure manliness.
It's just terrible.
It's like the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
Oh, the humanity.
It's actually just like after I do this intro, it's just a shepherd tone for like 3 hours, and then that's it. You could be like, is it really getting higher, or is it? That's weird. No, we had a great show this week. All kinds of crazy shit happened, and we're gonna talk about all of it. Before we get to that, Michael, I did something real weird last week.
Did you test different ringtones on different age people in bars?
No. Did you?
I don't know why, but that popped in my head for some reason. For some reason, I'm like, that would be a weird thing to do.
No. I was playing Power Wash Simulator last week, and I was playing the new Wallace and Gromit DLC.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I realized that I was like, I don't know how much actual Wallace and Gromit I've watched. Like, I know who Wallace and Gromit are, but I don't know if I've ever really sat down and consumed Wallace and Gromit. So I watched that new Wallace and Gromit, The Vengeance Most Foul on Netflix.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was really weird how it was a direct sequel to something that I doubt very many people that are watching it have actually seen, myself included.
It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my life. That original one, because it's such a stupid fucking idea.
Feathers McGraw.
Feathers McGraw is a penguin that wears a glove on his head,
and everybody's like, "That's a chicken."
That's a chicken. It's a very famous one, but it's been a very long time since that thing came out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I know haven't seen Wallace and Gromit in general in a long time.
Yeah.
So when they announced it, I got super excited, and everyone else I knew was like, "Why are you this excited about this?" I'm like, "You don't understand. He's back. Feathers McGraw is back." And they just look at me like a psychopath.
No, it was really weird too, because after I watched it, I thought, well, maybe I'll go watch some other Wallace and Gromit stuff, and I was like, Wallace and Gromit streaming. None of it is like, I mean, you can rent it, right? You can buy it off of Amazon, but none of it is like on anything. And I should know, I got everything. So I was like, what is Paramount Plus? Is it Crunchyroll? Where is it? And it was like nowhere.
Oh, you can buy them on 4K. They exist on a 4K disc. I almost did recently because I thought about it.
I also don't know if I don't know how ready I was for Wallace to be so dismissive of his dog and what his dog wants in life and the things that his dog is like trying to warn him about, and he's just like, "Oh, you silly doggy." I'm just like, listen to your dog, man.
He does that every single short. Like, he'll just be hanging out and there's just like, say, a serial murder outside, and Gromit's just like, "Bro, there's some fucked up shit." Wallace, cheese Wallace. You're like, what the fuck, dude?
But no, it was really cool. I was very impressed. There was a lot of like fluid in it, which I don't know how much of that was
really
actually
good job with that stuff.
Stop animated, but it looked really good. Like
as far as I know, everything is supposed to be stop animated. I don't know about the new one per se. I think it's still supposed to be, but everything still looks amazing in that fucking thing.
Yeah. And then the gnome, the
gnome was freaky.
Norbot or Norbit or whatever his name was.
It was Norbot.
Norbot. When he first booted him up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this thing is like horrifying."
And then they're like, and then it turns evil, and you're like, it looks somehow less horrifying when it's evil for some reason.
When it doesn't have pupils to stare directly into your soul.
I don't know why. I trust you more now.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just like, it was a really basic story. It had some good gags. It was a farcical good time.
Yeah.
It was nice to look at. Then I also watched 2/3 of Despicable Me 4.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one.
I watched an hour of it, and then I was like, there's only 30 minutes left in this. And I was like tired, and I was like, I'll watch the rest tomorrow. And I went to bed, and then I got up, and I kept forgetting that I had 30 minutes of Despicable Me. So
I'm surprised that you decided to watch that. That's surprising.
Well, okay, so I have a really strange relationship with that franchise because here's the thing, Michael, and I like, listen, guys, I swear I'm not like some kind of mom in disguise over here, but like, I don't really like Gru. I really do like the Minions. I thought both the Minions movies were they were dumb. They were dumb as shit.
Yeah.
But I liked them. I liked those little assholes that just wandered around doing the little language, fucking being stupid, like, hitting each other and laughing at each other. Like there was a gag in Despicable Me 4 where they get put in a safe house, and one of the three minions that's like their house minions like goes into this vending machine, but then he's just always in the vending machine. And so there was one in the middle of the night where they come in and they just like shake up a can of soda and just like put it in the vending machine and it explodes. And because I was like,
I like the Minions. No, yeah, I have a very complicated relationship with that series. I really like 1 and 2 a lot.
Yeah,
I hated the third one with a passion, and then I like the Minions movies a lot too. Yeah. And then I hated the third one so much when they were like, "We're making a Despicable Me 4." I'm like, just call me when there's another Minions, because I don't really. You fucked with Gru too much, in my opinion. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Well, the guy who did was like the main director on some of the more beloved ones came back for 4. It was a different person. Like there was a shakeup in the crew for 4. I don't know.
Maybe I'll give it a shot again. I don't know. The third one's really bad, though.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
I didn't watch the third one.
They had Trey Parker is the bad guy to the third one.
What?
And it's that was surprised everyone at the time. And I remember being kind of excited about that, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, you didn't do anything with him.
Wow.
In fact, this is kind of boring.
Yeah, so that's what I did, which is basically nothing. And then I also played that Eternal Strands game, which is actually really good.
Okay.
Which people should go back and play. What about you? Did you do anything good? Watch anything good?
I watched the first 2 episodes of The Devil Who Dares.
Oh, the Daredevil, huh?
I haven't seen the newest one, but the first one was part of the reworking, because I looked into it a little bit. The second and the third episode apparently were closer to the original pitch of the show.
Okay.
That they did, because you remember that they had they reworked the entire show.
Right.
So the first episode apparently is like all the stuff that they wanted of the new version of it. And it starts with stuff happening to Matt that causes him to be like, I don't want to be Daredevil anymore. And so, as most of these fucking types of show do for some reason.
Daredevil's that kind of hero. He's always like, I have an actual paying day job. I'd really rather not.
And so the plot for the most part is that like Matt's just trying to live his life now.
Yeah.
It's been like a year since he decided to stop. Wilson Fisk is back after getting shot in the face by Echo.
Okay.
Kind of thing. He's now running for mayor originally, but then eventually he does become mayor at the end. I thought it was going to take a while, but they're like, it's literally the exact same episode. He's like, I'm running, and now I've won. I'm like, oh, okay. And then so the show's also dealing with like Wilson dealing with the fact that he is now mayor and what that entails as the fact that he was a mob boss but now has to work sort of within the means of the law, kind of thing. And so it's mostly about the two of them dealing with their new status quo. And then Matt takes on somebody's case about a guy who's accused of killing a cop. And then the episode ends, so far that I've seen, ends with some fuckery happening that kind of causes him to go back into like, oh, I can still beat up a person real bad if I wanted to, type of thing. But I like it a lot so far. I heard this third episode's not bad as well, but I'm curious to see where it's going to go based on the fact that it's named Born Again, which is a very popular story from way back when. And I felt like the third one was even kind of based on that to begin with. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes. But, Charlie Cox hasn't lost a step.
Yeah.
Neither has the rest of the cast who came back. I think it's a good follow-up so far than a Netflix show.
Interesting. Somebody in the Discord told me it was Benson and Moorhead that were actually running it, but it doesn't, like, looking at the page, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like they're doing some direction stuff on it.
That.
But then it's this Dario Scardapane. I don't know. Scardapane.
Here's the main thing I will say about the show that I'm happy about. This is the first time in a while that I've watched one of these MCU type things that I'm like, oh, this looks like a real place in a real life area. No, but I've never once felt like he's standing in a CGI fuck off area kind of thing.
Okay, so wait, but here's my question: of the two episodes that you watched so far, what percentage of the total runtime is somebody wearing a hoodie? because
somebody wearing a hoodie.
Because every Netflix show, it was like Luke Cage has to go downtown and nobody's gonna recognize him. Better put my hood up. Now nobody recognizes me. Iron Fist is wanted by the law. What's he gonna do? Put on a hoodie. The Punisher is about to be caught. And he puts on a hoodie. Like everybody in those shows puts on a fucking hoodie, and it started to drive me nuts.
As far as I know, nobody's put on a hoodie so far.
Oh, that's a big endorsement.
At least none of the main characters have put on a hoodie. I think one guy, but I think he started off wearing a hoodie to begin with. But for the most part, Matt is just wearing his like normal outfit the whole time.
Okay. It sounds like, I mean, everybody keeps saying it's good, and I was thinking about watching it, but then I ended up watching 2/3 of Despicable Me like an idiot. So
yeah, I watched that, and then of course I watched The Righteous Gemstones is back.
Oh yeah,
as well. That one is a strange one because it started off in a past episode.
Yeah,
or because like sometimes shows are like, this is a flashback to something,
right?
Instead of it being like a normal flashback the way the rest of the show does, where it's like, this is them when they were younger. It's like, this is the story of the first gemstone kind of thing, and it's played by Bradley Cooper, and it's like the Civil War, and I'm like, this is fucking weird.
That does sound weird.
I liked it, but it was very strange.
Well, speaking of weird, we kind of blazed through the intro a little faster than we sometimes do, but that's okay, because I think you and I are going to have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Because we're kicking off the show this week with Mr. Kojima-san was in town. He was at South by Southwest, and they debuted the Death Stranding 2 on the Beach pre-order trailer. We got a release date, and we got a whole lot of really interesting and bizarre things.
Yeah, like we got more than even I expected.
Yeah.
And some stuff that I didn't expect at all.
Yeah. Like, oh, wait. What? Like when it starts, we were just like, wait, what's going on here? This is like an episode of 24 or something.
Yeah. There's like a guy that I vaguely remember kind of seeing in the last one.
Yeah.
Or last trailer that they did. But now it's all very much about this guy and some fuckery that's going on in his life.
Yeah.
But it's clear that it's connected to whatever is going to happen.
Yes.
But in
But
what
how?
way? In what way, we're not 100% certain. I have my theories, but as we all do, as all of us Kojima fans, we always have our theories.
Of course.
Whenever we watch anything involving him. And usually we're dead wrong because Kojima thinks like a crazy person.
The thing is, Hideo Kojima trailers, like, they like defy you because they're like, what is happening here? It's like, man, I don't know. It's be like, did you play the first game? Of course. I played it like 3 times. So what's going on here? I have no fucking idea, man.
Exactly.
I could be anything. Could be a prequel. Could be 4,000 years in the future. Could be a dream. Could be fucking Terminator tie-in show.
There's so much going on in this trailer that's just, I find fucking fascinating. And a return of a character who I was like, okay, I'm kind of happy they're back.
There's, it's weird to me to think, I know that the first game was really good looking, but do you think there's been like significant upgrades to this engine to Decima since then? Because it looks really good, but then I remember the first one looking really good as well. Like,
I think
maybe
it
a little
looks
sharper.
I think it looks even better because now people look just like the high-res CGI trailer versions of some character, the way they would look in the old trailers, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because there's so much more detail in some of these people that the line between reality and fucking uncanny valley is so thin.
Yeah.
That I'm like having a hard time with it. It isn't until you see something that you're like, okay, well, that's not real in any shape, way, or form, that your brain goes back into like, oh, that's right, this is a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because on the one hand, I think that my brain just doesn't want to do conjecture about this because I want to just play it and experience it, even though I'm sure that I could make some conjecture and probably be wrong, like you said. But
here's the fun thing about Death Stranding. I could tell someone the entire plot of Death Stranding from beginning to end, and they would look at me like as if I made up the entire thing. So when they played it, they would still be just as surprised.
I don't know if I could tell them the plot of Death Stranding 1, even though I've played it 3 times.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's one of those stories, and it's one of those games that if you explained it to anybody, like bit by bit, you would still not understand it until you actually played it.
Like I could definitely explain to you what happens in any Metal Gear you wanted to ask.
That I can easily do.
Even though some of them are batshit insane, and you got arms that are possessing people and nanomachines and all that bullshit. Yeah. And I could tell you what Norman Reedus is doing in Death Stranding, but I don't know. There's some parts towards the end that's like, what? What?
Exactly.
What?
And there's so many things going on in this specific story.
Yeah.
That I'm constantly going, what?
Yeah.
For instance, the talking puppet.
Yeah.
That's not even all that much in this trailer at all.
Yeah, not very much.
There's so many things that are happening in this trailer already that makes me question what's happening already.
Yeah.
So many questions.
What's weird though, Michael, is it's been like over a year since we had a trailer, I think, right?
It has been a very long time since we've had any new trailers. And then this thing was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know. I'm really torn because on the one hand, it's like I want to talk about it. On the other hand, it's like I don't want just casual people to have to skip over a big chunk of this. Especially there's two things that happen at the end of this trailer that I'm like, the implications, Michael. The implications.
Not only the implications. Somebody just going, is that legal?
Right.
Is he like legally allowed to do that?
Can you do that? I didn't know we were allowed to do that.
Exactly. It's just like, okay, cool.
I can definitely say that like they show some of the tar monster kind of creatures that look better and more interesting than the first one.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's definitely come back. We see a lot of new environments. We see a jungle, a desert, a tundra. There's this awesome shot where they're like at the top of a mountain where it's over the cloud cover and you could see off into stuff. The iconography and stuff. What I'm really hoping, I don't know if it's a common thing where people said in the first game, like, it's too easy. That was always my only real issue with the first game was that it was a little too easy.
It kind of was, because there were some people that are like, the game's really hard. I'm like, it's not really all that hard. A lot of people just didn't have the patience to make the stuff that made the game like incredibly easy.
Right.
And because a lot of people didn't get past like the point where you would get all the stuff, that, especially the weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are like, there's no guns in this game. I'm like, oh, you did not play this game at all then. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like the second half of the first game, I was driving a truck.
Yeah.
I had
a truck, every fucking machine gun that shot my blood and piss at people.
Yep.
Shit like that. Like, I had a lot of things.
Yep.
And people talk about the game as if it was only a walking simulator.
Right.
And it wasn't. Like, in fact, the game was just easier because of what you could do as it went on. And I'm curious to see if they balanced that out better in this, and whether or not any of that stuff involving your weapons is still part of the main game. Right. Kind of thing. There's so many things going on that you're like, but what are you about?
Right.
Who are you? What are you doing here? What is this about? And then there's like sequences that just happen that you're like, I'm sorry, what?
Right.
There's one specific sequence that made me pause because I'm like, did I dream this part, or is this actually happening in this exact sequence? And it is. It's absolutely happening. And I'm curious as to what even that means gameplay wise.
Yep.
I'm fucking fascinated by this entire thing.
I don't know. This might be where the Hideo Kojima Ouroboros like just folds up its own asshole and starts to like turn around in a shell shape. Like Hideo Kojima's always been up his own ass, and I appreciate that because I want to play his ass. Like, that's what I want to play, is the horrible ramblings of this crazy madman who somehow gets given millions of dollars and Hollywood stars to make the world's most inscrutable bullshit video games that are somehow also directly my thing and that I love so much. Like,
I'm going to say this with a very serious thought process. I'm going to have to take time off whenever this game comes out.
Yep.
And I'm just going to have to tell my girlfriend, you're not going to see me.
Yep.
For like a while.
Yep.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that I will say this is just part of the trailer. Like, I'm going to stop here because some bullshit's about to happen.
Yes, the bullshit that I was specifically talking about.
There's some kind of like, there's some stuff that flashes across, when they put the little words and stuff across there. And there was one point where they were like, maybe connection was a mistake. And I was like, you know how Death Stranding came out like right before everybody had to stay inside and get things delivered to them? And I'm like, is this motherfucker gonna do it again? Where it's
if it does, it would be really funny.
It would be very strange,
especially depending on what happens in this game.
Yeah,
I'm curious as to what's going on.
And okay, let's see how well we can talk around. There are two things that happened at the end here. There's a lot of familiar iconography. Let's put that. That's one thing I can say.
That's one thing we can say about it.
Except like more so, like part of me wonders if, okay, this is maybe abstract enough. Part of me wonders if what we're looking at here was like Hideo Kojima had an idea for what he wanted to do in MGS 5 when Metal Gear Philanthropus stands all the way up like a big old person. And you have to fight it from a Jeep. And then in Death Stranding 1, there is a point towards the end of the game where you have to fight a giant person, like, on your feet.
No.
And then here, it's like, okay, now we've got a whole other thing going on.
And I can't fucking wait.
And then you've got this other thing. Again, I don't want to be too...
Okay, this is the thing that...
that skip to 8:30 in the trailer.
Shocked me so much.
Yes.
That it just happens.
Yes.
And you like, have to sit there and accept that this is happening.
Like, wait, what? What? Especially because, like... And I can say this because it's not really a spoiler, but like this is like almost a direct rip of a scene from the trailer from the first game.
Yes,
with another actor, another famous actor, and I'm like, but what does it mean? What does it mean? And then thinking about like what those sequences with that actor in the first game did, and I'm like, but what does that mean? What does that mean for this guy?
Exactly.
Are we gonna? Is he doing commentary? Has he turned inside out yet?
The other thing is there's a quote from Kojima from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was that long ago, where he talks about that actor.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, that actor would make a great redacted, is what I'm going to say. And he's like, that would be interesting. And that's all he had to say about that guy.
Yeah.
So when they announced he was going to be in this, and then that happened, and I'm like, what did you mean by that?
Right, right. Like, I'm wondering if this is going to be commentary, if this is him talking about like his own bullshit,
exactly.
Or like,
and then oh god, this fucking thing. Jesus, I can't wait to see how that plays out.
9:45.
Fucking hell, guys.
But you know what? Okay, I can't be the only person in the world who says, and I'm sorry, you guys, I'm sorry. I know there's some people out there who aren't watching this trailer, they haven't watched the trailer, and they're just getting a face full of like ambiguity.
Yes.
Shit looks awesome and bizarre and funky. And Michael, can you think of a worse person in the world to do what's happening in this scene than the guy who like dies every 15 minutes and has to come back to life?
I'm sure
like,
he stopped doing that at some point.
Are you? Look, he's still got all the stuff hooked up. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. The very fact that this sequence is happening is so fucking funny to me.
It seems a little bit... it's like putting a narcoleptic in charge of driving the school bus to me, but like...
he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Either way, it's so fucking insane. Look at all this stuff in the collector's edition, by the way.
Giant statues. You've got some pre-order stuff. You got a little Dollman figurine. Got some patches. Some art cards. A letter from Hideo Kojima. Big old box. But yeah, we also... June 24th. That's the other big headline here.
It's huge.
Is
that's happening.
Motherfucker, man. Like, what? This is March. That's April, May, June. That's 3 months.
That's 3 months.
I don't have to wait for a year to play Death Stranding 2.
Well, yeah, because we were expecting it to be like way far away.
Right.
Based on the fact that he was like feeding essentially what we were getting out of it. And I was expecting it to be like, well, it's going to be another year. We got all this graphical shit because this thing is fucking insane looking.
Yeah.
Only to find out, oh no, this is very soon.
Yeah.
And I'm, you better be fucking. I've never been so happy I have a PS5 Pro.
Fucking Hideo Kojima summer over here.
It's going to the summer of Kojima.
Summer of Kojima.
It's just what my life is going to be.
Summer of ham-handed, fucked up metaphors and songs from the 1970s.
I just hope that the thing that doesn't happen to me when the first one and Metal Gear Solid 5 happened to me, which is that. When Metal Gear Solid 5 came out and I played it so much, every time I drove by one of those containers on the side of the road, my brain was like...
Throw a fucking balloon at it.
Yeah, my brain was like, well, you got to go put a Fulton on that to get them sweet fucking resources. And then after I played the first one, I kept staring at boxes going, I wonder how many of those I could strap to my back and take to places.
Just walk around. Outside in the Texas sun, man... Fucking Sam Stranding, whatever his name is, he never had to walk around in the Texas heat. He would fall over right away in that jumpsuit bullshit.
That's the thing. He's always wearing a jumpsuit for all that shit.
Yeah.
It's always raining all the time.
It looks great. I don't want to really say that much more about it because I think that part of the fun of Hideo Kojima games is discovery. Like, did they even fully outline the weird social media, we're all working together to build a bridge, and then if somebody else builds a bridge, it shows up in your game aspect of the first game?
They never mentioned it in this one, as far as I know.
But in the first one, did they talk about that before it came out?
They did, but it was in a lot of those behind the scenes things that you would have had to really been paying attention to that game to really hear about them right away.
That was fucking bananas.
That was absolutely bananas. I only have one question, Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll bring back Monster Energy drink, or do you think they've gotten a new person or a new company?
I put my money on Liquid Death.
Liquid Death?
Liquid Death instead of Monster Energy
I'd be cool
drink.
with that. The iconography would work.
What a weird sellout to just be like.
It's the funniest thing about the first game.
Convert your pee into Monster Energy drink. And it's like, well, what does it do? It's like, it gives you even more energy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
And then the re-release didn't have that anymore, which was sad.
Yeah. The real question is, how much will the jacket cost? The trench coat that Sam Stranding is wearing at the beginning of this when he's out on the. They're going to make this jacket. Some French company's going to make this fucking jacket, and it's going to cost $2,700.
Oh, every time, you can get it with the Dante jacket.
Yep.
That's also $2,500 probably.
Or the Chris Redfield jacket that doesn't have any buttons on it.
I think most of those were $2,500.
Yeah. If
I remember correctly.
Anyway, all right. We've now spent more time talking about Death Stranding than we did anything else. So
you guys are lucky it ended at all.
Yeah.
Only because we're not allowed to, or not allowed. We just don't want to spoil anything for you people.
Yeah. Go watch it for yourself and then come back and listen to our confusing and arbitrary ramblings. I love Hideo Kojima. I'm glad he gets to make games. And you know what? Even if you don't like Death Stranding, you could take a huge amount of solace in knowing that because this comes out in July, it means that this is probably pretty much done, and OD is deep in development. So the horror game is coming.
Everything else that he's working on is very much in the stages it needs to be.
Yep. So looks great.
I just noticed that the big fucking...
The bear?
The thing is an otter.
Oh, it is an otter. The crib.
Yeah.
Baby crib is a big
you might
otter.
have gotten it from Conan O'Brien.
Yep. Conan O'Brien made that baby crib.
My favorite thing is I'm saying that without any irony in my voice.
Yep.
And none of you people know if I'm joking or not.
Yep. Yeah. So, hey, but that wasn't the only presentation. We had a few more, and we're going to try to get to all of them before we jump in. Oh, wait. Okay, we can't really talk. I'm going to put that in there. Did you see this?
I did not see that.
There was a special slip cover that was made for Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay.
I have seen that slipcover, though.
Hideo Kojima, during Metal Gear Solid 2, had this artist in Japan called Gackt, G-A-C-K-T, that he had just do some promos for Metal Gear Solid 2. Dude's not in the game. Music's not in the game. He was a musician and things. And when asked why, he was like, well, this game is all about genes, and genetic material is separated to G, A, C, and T. And if you add a K like Kojima to it, you get Gackt. And I was like, all right, you fucking weirdo.
I love that so much.
But there was a slipcover for Metal Gear Solid 2 that had Gackt holding a baby, and it's kind of similar to what's on the front of Death Stranding 2.
Or it helps that it's a big white background, too.
Right.
I discovered that slipcover on accident recently because somebody was like, I got the weird baby cover of Metal Gear Solid 2.
You're like, the one now?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry, what the fuck are you talking about? And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is a real cover of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep.
God, Kojima is such a strange man.
Anyway, speaking of crazy shit that comes out of Japan, we also got a Silent Hill transmission. This was you remember we had one of these 2 years ago or something?
That's when they announced the Twitch stream one. Mm-hmm. And then they released that one that same day. Remember?
It was
the walking simulator.
The
hated
crappy one.
Yeah.
The high
I never
school
played it.
Girl one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had that. They had Silent Hill 2 remake. They had Silent Hill 2 the movie remake. They had the one that's being made by that one indie team that had the little radio.
Oh yeah. And then some ads for merch.
Stories Untold. And then they also announced this, which is Silent Hill F.
That's right, yeah.
It was the first announcement of Silent Hill F. And so this transmission is doing nothing but covering Silent Hill F. I'm going to tell you right now that there is, if you want to listen to some Japanese men opine about Silent Hill and development in very vague terms, boy howdy, do I have a 40-minute video for you that I watched the entire thing of. The meat of this is the trailer, the 2-minute trailer. So they put out a new 2-minute trailer for Silent Hill F. For those who don't know or don't remember, this is the one that's set in a Japanese village as opposed to Silent Hill.
Which is why it was such an interesting idea.
Yeah, like every other Silent Hill game is generally... I don't know about the Twitch one, but...
I remember the Twitch one. And then I don't know if the room is also supposed to be in Silent Hill.
I think it is, or you're going to Silent Hill through the room. You can't leave the room, but you go to Silent Hill. It also, I didn't know this, they talked about it, this is in the 60s.
Okay.
So it's not modern day.
That's even interesting.
They talk an awful lot about the... here's a strange thing. The character models are very good looking and very naturalistic. Like they look a little bit more realistic than I'm used to for games, especially for Japanese games.
Yes.
Maybe it's because every Japanese game I see is like half manga, half anime.
That's true. A lot of them tend to go over more art over substance, I guess.
Yeah, whereas this lady, this main character in this looks like just a girl. Like,
yes. There's nothing like over exaggerated about her in any shape, way, or form.
Yeah.
There's not a moment where I'm just like, well, all the drawings of her are going to be weird.
She's not super busty.
Yeah, she's a normal human being.
Yeah. So, okay, here's a few things they talked about. They talked about how there's kind of like what beauty and terror and beauty is kind of an idea they're talking about, because it seems like in this version, and we saw this in the first one, where instead of like rust and decay, it's like this kind of red rot vegetation that's taking over.
But it's like kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
That is kind of pretty, but also kind of horrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's got these big like fronds in the middle that kind of exaggerated in a lot of ways, look like kind of grasping towards the character. Over the course of this trailer, you see the character increasingly like torn up, like the sleeve is torn off their shirt, and at the beginning and at the end there's like the back of her uniform is torn out, like
it turns out she's Big Boss the whole time.
There's some brief glimpses at monsters that look pretty good. But a lot of it is like it's more Japanese coded, right? And they talk about that a lot in this interview thing, where they talk about how like the original Silent Hill was supposed to be America through a Japanese lens. Yeah. And that, like, as it became more and more solidified as an in Silent Hill, the producers just, it's kind of strange to hear them talking about this, where they're just like, it just straight up became less Japanese, and we wanted to like ground it more in like Japanese folk horror. Like the first one was a mix of Japanese folk horror and this kind of Americana, and we wanted to kind of, it swung too far in the Americana direction, where we want to kind of swing it back towards the more Japanese focused horror.
Yeah, that's the thing a lot of people forget about Silent Hill, is it wasn't just like, it wasn't an American made studio who made those really important to horror fans games.
Yeah.
In fact, it's always funny that whenever somebody points out one of the things they got their Americana from was Kindergarten Cop.
Right.
Like whenever you explain that to somebody, they look at you like you're a crazy person. Like, why would they do that? It's like because they were in Japan.
Yeah.
And they needed something, and it was easier to just pause or the school Arnold Schwarzenegger is at than it is to like have to pay somebody to go out there to America and take pictures of random schools. Yeah. Like, it's just what it was. It happens all the time.
Are you a fan of Silent Hill? Have you played many of the Silent Hills?
I was a big fan of the first two.
Yeah.
Because I played the first two when they came out. I played the third one, but not for a little while because it was my brother's.
Yeah.
So when he moved, I didn't really finish it. And then I started 4, but I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because 4 is very puzzle heavy.
Right.
And so and then after that, I just
the bad ones, the bad times, the dark times.
The dark times happened after that, but ironically enough, I wasn't paying attention after that.
Yeah. Homecoming.
But everyone I know who did was like, "Oh no, it's all bad."
Yeah.
So I just whenever went to it.
The Wii remake of the first one was well regarded. Frozen Memories or whatever it was called, where like they would ask you questions about what scares you, and then they would integrate those things directly into the game, kind of thing.
That was a cool idea, yeah.
What are your impressions? I don't think you've seen this before, but what are your impressions about this trailer?
I think it's a great move for for Silent Hill in a way that's just like, look, we understand that you understand Silent Hill very well now, but we want to take it in a direction that you normally wouldn't see, which is just completely outside of America.
Yeah.
Like in the spot where you're not even really in Silent Hill. And the fact that it's in the 60s, I think, is even more fascinating because, like, is it a prequel? Like, does it connect to the normal Silent Hill? Like, is there something that happens at the end that might explain even how Silent Hill is a thing? Who knows?
Well, like, if I understand correctly, Silent Hill's got two tracks, basically. One is there's a cult of religious crazy people that are trying to usher in the birth of a new god. That's Silent Hill 1 and 3, right? But then, like, 2 and 4 and some of the other ones are more like...
They're like your trauma is attacking you.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. You're a person who came to this place that turns your worst fears manifest, and you've got to try to survive them and deal with what you're seeing and what you're doing.
And in some versions, they're like, "Oh, Silent Hill's just a normal ass place."
Yeah,
until you get there, and it's all pure trauma. It's very strange the way Silent Hill works.
Which is definitely the impression I'm getting from this. I don't know. It's also weird because as I watched this, I was like. I was getting some Fatal Frame vibes because that's what I associate with Japanese schoolgirls in a village fighting for their lives with dolls and shit. Like,
it's hard not to think that because we don't get a lot of their weird horror stuff, not even just games, but like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff is probably just as, influenced by a lot of those horror things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you showed this to Chris, he's like, "Oh, it's like that thing that from that movie nobody's seen in America in like 30 years or something."
I like the lady's face coming off at the end. It was a pretty good, effect.
It is a really fun effect.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I could see where some people might be down on Silent Hill on it being set in Japan as opposed to actual Silent Hill, like fans, deep fans of the series. But as far as I'm concerned, once you've had like 3 misses in a row, and the only way you can get anything good out of the franchise is to go literally remake the only one that anybody liked, then it's maybe about time to either reboot or go off in a different direction or try something weird and funky and different.
It's pretty much what has happened with Resident Evil twice now.
Yeah,
because after Resident Evil 3, they're like, "Well, I don't really know what to do with Resident Evil."
Right.
Like, we'll take it to like a non-American area.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, now we don't know what to do with it after 6." I'm like, "Well, take it a little more back to basics and have scary hillbillies and they go from there."
Yeah.
Like it takes like a weird left turn to really to bring a lot of series back to life, especially gamed ones.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
They also talked about, I don't know, they talked about some of the staff that's working on it. This Ryukishi 007 who made this there's a story called Higurashi When They Cry that was like apparently a pretty well regarded like anime that was all fucked up or manga that came in to do some of the writing for it. It's actually kind of funny because they talked to him about the story writing process, and he's like, "Yeah, well, they asked me to come out and like talk to the director and maybe write the new Silent Hill." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's amazing!" And so I started doing all this research on Silent Hill, and I was looking at all the previous ones and like, oh, what kind of American things could be scary to put in here, and like what can I do with this? And they came and they were like, "Yeah, it's set in Japan," and he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's even easier."
Yeah. I feel like he probably got bummed after that. He's like, "I had this idea for a hamburger that attacks you."
Yeah.
They're like, "I don't know what to tell you, dude." He's like, "Okay."
The same was true. They had a question because they have Mr. What was his name? Said the sound designer guy or the music director, the guy that did the music, who
I don't remember
does
his name.
shitload of different musical scores. And they asked him like, how do you get into the mood to make there we go, Akira Yamaoka. It said, how do you get in the mood to make a soundtrack to a Silent Hill game? And he's like, "Well, I've been making music for Silent Hill for 25 years. So I don't need to get into the headspace to do it. I just make the music, and it sounds like it's supposed to be in Silent Hill." And it was like, all right, that's legit.
No, yeah, it's hard to argue. It's like walking up to John Williams, like, "How do you make Star Wars? Like, right, being John Williams." I don't know what to tell you.
Or like Tim Burton. Tim Burton, what do you do to become so maniacal and whimsical in your music? And it's like, I don't know, hit the record button and start.
Just go from there.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. There's some more details in here. Again, a lot of it, like it's like a 3-minute trailer. It's a 46-minute like live stream, and most of it is just talking about the inspiration and what was your process, but they always hold back from any specifics because they're like, we don't want to spoil anything in case. And it's like, oh, well, okay, then that's just a bunch of people farting around talking about how much they love Silent Hill and they can't wait to make the new thing and yada, yada, yada. So
well, they'd have to show something.
Yeah. And then last, before we take a break, we had a 25-minute No Rest for the Wicked showcase.
This thing.
That's the Moon Studios game.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about it for quite some time. They had like a kind of a technical update. But
we were talking about this not that long ago.
They had a teaser for this new thing called The Breach that they're putting out. And it's interesting because one of the things they talk about in here is how they are part of, their parent company was sold. And so the future of this game was like in question, and they had to go through negotiations to buy the rights back from
that's crazy, really?
From 2K, because 2K let, I think it was Paradox or like one of their publishing arms, or private division. So they were under Private Division. 2K sold Private Division, and then when they did that, they had negotiations where they basically bought the rights to this back out of Private Division so they could work on it.
That's crazy.
And they're like, that's why you haven't heard anything from us in like 8 months, because we've been working on stuff, but we couldn't talk about anything because we were basically up in the air about what was going to happen.
Even if it could come out like in this version at least.
Right. So they talk a lot about it. We don't have time to really go over every single thing, but they talk a lot about, they've added a whole new area to the game. They've added this new, like this forest that has this like corruption in it, and that corruption will like creep into other areas. Then you have to go and the enemies get changed and you have to kind of root out stuff. There's some of the story that's been enhanced with this lady from kind of the warrior lady that we saw in the very beginning of the game. They show some cutscenes. The cutscenes still look really singular and amazing.
Well, they showed that they like even enhanced some of the cutscenes as well. They had like a sequence where it had that thing where it has that wipe that shows the differences.
Right.
And it's like, man, it still looks fucking crazy how good it looks.
The art style that they've come up with for this is just absolutely breathtaking. I haven't really played the game that much, so it's hard for me to know exactly some of the differences. They said they've added...
We did one video on it a long time ago.
Yeah.
The demo version.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I've often thought about going back to it, but I kind of want to... It's kind of like Hades, where it seems like a good game, and I kind of just want to wait for it to be fully baked. Yeah. Like, I don't want to eat raw dough right now. I would like to just wait.
No, it's fair.
Until it's on the plate.
This is definitely a game that I feel like it'd be better to wait to see how the finished version plays out.
Yeah, because
you don't want to get used to like a beta version of something.
Yeah, they talked about how this new update means that you're going to have to basically restart, because the character progression is different. They also talked about a bunch of updates that they did as far as like how like apparently it used to be that you had food items and you ate the food items, and that's how you got your health back in the game. And when you ate a food item, there was a cooldown until you could eat another food item. Yeah. And that people, the players were complaining about that, but then they changed it so that you can now eat you can eat food items back to back, but only X number in any battle. And then like after you've eaten 2, it just stops it. But it's a stat that you can now like upgrade to be able to have more healing items.
That's interesting.
They have added some new gauntlet weapons to the game. They said they changed the way that shields work because nobody was using shields.
That's always funny when that happens.
Yeah. And I mean, just like probably one of the biggest things they said was not this update, but the next update that they're doing after it, they are adding co-op with up to 4 people.
Oh wow!
Into the game. So really kind of trying to cash in on that. I think that Diablo kind of multiplayer thing.
Well, when we played it, we were having some trouble with it. So like, maybe it would be easier with friends kind of thing.
Yeah. Or just like if they've streamlined it as time goes on. Like, because, I played the Ori games. They weren't fucking, Super Meat Boy plays Demon Souls hard. Like, they were not.
No, we didn't know what we were doing, for one. But, but also, people like hanging out when they play a game. So as long as the game's still doable by yourself, it shouldn't cause too many issues.
Yes. There's like a new area in the game with some new vendors and NPCs that you can talk to. God, these cutscenes are just unreal how good they look. They're so.
I'm always shocked because I don't expect them to be as fluid as they are, but they consistently are.
Yeah. Like when they're still, they look really good like a picture, and then they start moving around and blinking and talking and shit. And you're just like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Okay.
I remember the first time you showed it to me, I'm like, this is sorcery that you've showed me. None of this is real.
Yeah. So anyway, as I'm recording this isn't out yet, but I think it's supposed to come out like later this coming week. So it looks like they put an awful lot of work into this. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I also think it's worth just pointing out really briefly that, like, if you haven't checked this game out, it's probably a good time to maybe give it a shot, because if they have gone independent, it means that, like, they need funding.
Yeah.
So if you ever plan on picking it up, you'll probably get it cheaper now than you will when it's in 1.0, and it'll probably help to fund the game. We have a kind of a sad story later this week that's kind of along those lines. Like, it's rough out there. If you listen to the podcast, you've been hearing how rough it is. So
there's a lot of people I know that are still in dire straits because of all how rough it is out there.
Yeah. So, 25-minute video. This one is, very focused on this game. The game is really beautiful to look at. So, if you're interested in checking it out, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
You could do a lot worse. You could skip the first 2 parts of Despicable Me 4 and just watch this, and then you could fill in all the rest with just repeat watches of the Death Stranding 2 trailer.
Exactly. And then also Minions for some reason.
And then Minions. And then watch Minions too.
Because Minions is great.
Rise of Gru. All right. With that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a boatload of news to cover. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And we're back. And Michael, we got a lot of tabs open. Got a lot of tabs.
I see quite a few tabs.
There's quite a few tabs open. I don't know. Some of these.
I didn't know they sold that many tab sodas.
Yeah, listen, pal, if you want a tab, you got to buy something, okay? So when we left, we were talking about Moon Studios getting out from underneath Take-Two. We had another story. Take-Two is suing Player Auctions, which is a website that sells, like, basically hacked GTA 5 characters and hacked GTA 5, like, currency. Like, they literally are just like, yeah, man, we'll just, you can buy the currency from them. And apparently 2K has been like sending them cease and desists over and over again. Of course, it's like a Chinese website. And so they're taking them to court to try to get them to stop. I mostly include this, Michael, because I am flabbergasted at how popular GTA 5 online is.
Oh,
like, yeah. It didn't ever seem like an interesting thing to me, but people love that shit. Like,
well, people started treating it like 2 things. One, a place where they can do horrendous shit to people.
Sure.
Or 2, I guess, a second life.
Right.
And so, which I did not expect to take off at all, especially when that first came out, because I played the original version of GTA 5 online, and I was like,
bullshit.
I was like, there's nothing to do.
Right.
Everything is way too expensive.
Yep.
All of the jobs only give you like $100 basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then it crashed all the time. Even if you tried playing it normally, people would fuck with you, and I'm like, I don't see how this is enjoyable. And then I remember, all the other online modes that were out at the time were not all that intricate.
Yeah.
And then one day, everyone was playing GTA Online.
I don't understand.
And I don't know when that happened.
I didn't get it.
Part of it I blame on streamers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who stream like, hey, fans, play Grand Theft Auto 5 with me or whatever. And so there's a lot of that.
There's a fucking Criterion fucking Hamlet and GTA 5 Online movie, and I'm just like, there's not a Hamlet and Animal Crossing movie. There's not a 12th Night in World of Warcraft movie. Like, I'm like, how? But apparently the biggest contention here is the fact that this website just straight up cheats, like just straight up uses hacks to get stuff for their account. They even have like a thing where they say, yeah, if we sell you currency and your account gets banned, we'll like reimburse you. There's like protections for this stuff. It's one of those things.
Crazy as shit.
This comes up from time to time, Michael, and I'm still just much like I can't believe that Grand Theft Auto 5 Online is so popular. I'm often flabbergasted at the like legitimate companies selling fucking fucked up shit.
Yes.
Like, or it's like, wait a minute, you can't sell hacked GTA 5 accounts and then like accept somebody's credit card what? How do you do that? You can't do that, but apparently you could do that. So,
well, that's the thing. There's a lot of I've never thought that was something you could get away with until every now and then there's another news story about somebody doing this.
Yeah,
who's been doing it for a very long time.
Right.
It isn't like these guys showed up and then like a week later they were sued immediately. Yeah. Some of these people have been around since these games started.
Yep.
Like the Destiny 2 ones, those hacks and aimbots and those things were around for the entirety of Destiny 2, and finally somebody's like, okay, enough is enough. I need you to stop this.
Yeah.
Give us like we shut down or give us money or do both kind of thing.
Yeah.
And GTA 5 Online has been rampant with. I remember the last time I played it, a cheater walked up to me, threw a stack of money, and I stepped into it, and I had like $100 million all of a sudden. And I was just like, what do I do?
Drop $100 million? Can I drop $100 million?
Yeah, people were just dropping money left and right, and I was just like, okay, and that was just the norm.
Yeah.
And honestly, the reason why most of us weren't pissed at this was because GTA, like we mentioned earlier, everything's expensive in GTA Online.
Yep.
So most people didn't even care about that sort of thing. I feel like that's one of the reasons they probably took this long to sue them, is probably because of the fact when they make the next GTA Online stuff with 6, that maybe they're trying to preempt them from causing chaos in that new ecosystem.
Yeah. Additionally, Grand Theft Auto 5 last week came out with an enhanced edition for Steam that had like ray tracing and like a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of stuff that's already on the PS5 and the Series X, but wasn't in the Steam version of the client.
Yeah.
Like it had an older version. It has the lowest score of any Rockstar game ever, even lower than the Grand Theft Auto 3 Remastered Collection.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I read through this article, and apparently, like, the reason is, one, they did, again, companies do not learn. Before they put this, when this came out, they delisted the previous version of Grand Theft Auto 5, so only this version was available.
Oh.
And then 2, and I don't know, this is probably something that's going to be fixed, but apparently when it launched, it was like you could not migrate your character from the older version to the newer version. Like there would be an error message that came up, and it was like, okay, guys, like that's a thing. Like, who knows? It may just be because first week launch server overload stuff. But like, yeah, man, if you don't fix that shit, like, of course, this is going to be downvoted to hell for people that spent what some person on Twitter was like, yeah, I spent like 800 hours in GTA 5 Online. I'm not about to start over.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's some speculation that one of the things they're doing is trying to weed out hacked accounts do this way. Mm-hmm. That's one but no, there's no proof of it at the moment, of course. Like I said, it could just be the fact that, it's first 2 weeks
fucked up.
That happens in a lot. Like I remember when Overwatch 2 had that.
Yeah.
You had to like migrate. People were having trouble with that for a while, and that wasn't the case for that.
Right.
So, I just find it fascinating that this keeps happening to Rockstar.
I find it weird that Rockstar, in my memory at least, used to be a little bit, they seem like a better company. They seem like they keep stepping in it, right? Like between Red Dead 2 Online and the, GTA 3 edition, and like that I don't know, they seem like they keep like just putting their foot in it in a weird ways.
Oh, Jeff, you can there's a timeline for it. You can tell the exact moment that starts happening.
Yeah.
It's when GTA 5 Online starts.
Oh, okay.
And then from then on, they don't make anything ever again for the most part, except for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And then Red Dead Online, which dies a very horrible death super quickly.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. That's the reason I'm that much more surprised that GTA Online lasts as long as it did.
Right.
Because they just gave up on Red Dead Online within like a year.
It was very strange. Well, speaking of big, strange disappointments, we got an update. This is I feel like a bigger story, and I didn't see it that many places. So, the video game actors strike has been going on for 8 months.
Yes.
Like it never was resolved. We talked about it when it first started, and apparently, the Screen Actors Guild issued an update to the negotiations that are going on with the kind of industry. Industry is this is some bullshit right here. So these are the issues that SAG-AFTRA says is currently like remaining to be worked out. Protection from digital replica or generative AI use for all work, not just work produced from the date of the agreement going forward. A definition of digital replica. You know what? I'm not going through this. Basically, I can summarize. I can summarize some of this stuff. One is that one of the biggest things is that the gaming industry apparently have these like weird cutout loopholes about like AI voice acting and like what the use of actors are. Like SAG-AFTRA is like, yeah, you get 5 years and of like, let's say that I pay you for your voice and I want to use your voice in my video games. SAG-AFTRA wants it to be like, well, okay, every 5 years you have to come back and you have to like renegotiate with me. Like 5 years is the limit. And the industry is like, no, we get it forever. It's unlimited. It's unlimited for anything for the entire. After you sign the contract, you go fuck yourself. It's forever. Like one of the things that they're talking about, like that first thing where they said protection from digital replica or generative AI use for all work, not just work produced from the date of the agreement going forward. They want to be like, okay, so from here forward, we can't do this, but we can do it with anything that has already been recorded to the beginning of video game voice acting. And they said the same people, we can also harvest like interviews, YouTube channels, any non-game like public,
that's crazy,
like voice performances or just footage. And it's like, what the fuck? What is happening
it's
here?
It's insane how many corners want to get cut by this sort of thing nowadays.
Yeah. One of the things they want to do is they want to include mocap, and as in addition to voice capture, just like mocap performances, which they're like, no, we should be able to just use whatever your bullshit is. One of the other terms, I'm going to go through some of these because it's a big bag of suck. The industry wants to use procedural generation to refer to basically like using AI tools on things to create like new movements and new voice lines and things like that.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA is like, no, that means something else. We want to call this real-time generation. They have to disclose that they're going to blend your voice with other voices. They have to disclose if your voice will be used as a real-time chatbot or like as something that can accept input from the world. There's so many of this. One of the ones that they've got here is like, okay, if I authorize you to use a chatbot of my voice and SAG-AFTRA goes on strike, you can't keep using the chatbot. You can't keep using the generative voice library while I am striking against your company.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, well, yeah, man, of course they would do that. They would just like keep generating new lines for DLC, even though you were on strike trying to get like better stuff. So
this whole thing is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. There's one in here. Let's see. This is the one too that like really made my skin crawl. The bargaining group is proposing something. The bargaining group is the industry people. The bargaining group is proposing something that exists in the SAG-AFTRA TV/film agreement that grants the employers bonus rights if they pay a premium, and those bonus rights are described as easier scheduling / unlimited overtime / etc.
Oh god, oh goodness.
Like SAG-AFTRA says the current proposal is too broad and would circumvent union rights as written, but says it would consider the concept with stricter boundaries. Like the idea that it's just like, well, yeah, we're going to pay you 10% extra, and then you fucking come in here for as long as I say you come in here.
Yeah,
like,
which only makes sense in acting, because acting, a lot of the takes are not very long. Yep. They're very quick. To preface this, a long time ago when they were making Ghostbusters the video game, Harold Ramis did like a background thing.
Yeah,
he's like, my script was so thick because the majority of my lines were just me making reactions, and it was just like, hey, what are you doing, that kind of thing. Yeah, and he's just like, it's so much more than you would ever have to do as a normal like working actor.
Sure.
So imagine that with unlimited overtime.
yeah.
That's just would be brutal.
Yeah, I don't know. It like and the industry's response is like, well, we offered to raise the pay by 15%. So the rest of this should be fine. I don't know what the fuck you guys are on about. Like, we offered to give you more money, so you should accept that your voice likeness will be used in perpetuity forever for whatever the fuck we want to, and you don't have any control over it. You're never allowed to come back and renegotiate it, and if you go on strike, we still get to fucking use your voice, etc., etc., etc. Like, it's just some ghoulish shit. Like, that's
the thing about AI that's really frustrating. It just doesn't make any sense that, like, it's the thing that we are annoyed by whenever we say AI is dumb.
Yeah.
Because to preface this, me and Jeff are very not adamant. We're very on point. That's not even the thing I'm saying either.
Agnostic?
We are in agreement. Of what the good parts of AI can be used for.
Sure. Yeah.
Like shortcuts to like small things that you're like, hey, I just need a quick background for something that I'm working on, or even like, you know, copying your own work to use for something that you're doing.
Sure.
It cuts down in production times. It cuts down like all the time. As long as it's within a specific ecosystem that you yourself have control over,
right?
As well as, you know, the smaller other things that AI can be used on for cleanups and touch-ups and here and there. It's this stuff where we're like, this is the reason people hate AI in general.
Yeah. Well, like for example, like. The guy that played Vic in Cyberpunk passed away, and they wanted to get new lines for him in the Phantom Liberty DLC.
Yeah.
So they asked his family if they'd be okay with it. They said yes, and then they had a professional voice actor come in to kind of do like an impression of him for the lines, and then they used that as a basis to like get the AI, like, you know, the kind of the tone mapping over it so that it sounded like him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because you know what, Michael? Like, here's where the rubber meets the road for me, right? Okay, listen. I want there to be more Splinter Cell games, and what's this fight? Michael Ironside is old, and I just want, like, you know, I want him to be okay with it. I want him to agree to it before, like, I don't want it to be taken out of his hands. But wouldn't it be great if we could make Splinter Cell games and not have to have old ass Michael Ironside come in here and just fuck up his voice day after day, sounding old and stuff. Like, there are ways that you could do this stuff as an augmentation to make things better.
Yes. With already actors who have, you know, agreed to let their voices be essentially digitized and used in these exact ways, but they made these agreements. They have their estate have all the power.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones is a great example of this. He's like, Star Wars, you know, you're allowed to make Darth Vader's voice forever, kind of thing. Like with James Earl Jones' voice digitized in some way.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, they have control over all that stuff. The agreement was made. But in this instances, all of those agreements are so, like you said, they're like forever. They're like, we can do anything we've done in the past, no matter what.
Right.
Like, it doesn't just, it's all terrible.
It's like what happened with the Unity clause, where they wanted to backfill their new stupid idea into the entire history of video games, and you're like, nuh-uh.
Yeah, like all of a
you're
sudden,
not allowed.
So many people would owe shit tons of money for a game that probably wasn't even selling well anymore.
Right.
It's just insane.
So, yes, the strike is still going on. There are new rounds of negotiation. I hate it because it's like, I remember the first time that I started using some of the better AI stuff, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that you might be able to use this for. And then every corporation in the world was like, I know, evil. I know, we could fire everyone and replace them with Midjourney. And I was like, no, that's not what I meant.
My favorite thing about it is when somebody's like, who would be dumb enough to make Terminators? And then you're like, it's very obvious how we got here, how Terminators were made.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we don't even going to go down the road of people who are just like, I was inspired by Ready Player One. It's like, Ready Player One's a dystopia. You're not supposed to want to live in Ready Player One.
It's that great, that great joke where it's like, we made the evil nightmare machine from Please Do Not Make the Evil Nightmare Machine.
Right.
Because we can now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I highly recommend that everybody go take a look at these stories. There's plenty of them. I think IGN and Kotaku had some pretty good ones. Yeah, I hate it, and they suck. And it should only be used. The only person who should not be included in any of these negotiations, there should be a special carve out for Will Smith eating spaghetti. I want that to be the new, like, hello world for an AI is, can you make an audio file of Will Smith eating spaghetti? Can you make a video file of Will Smith eating spaghetti? How close is it? And can I tell whether or not this is an actual Will Smith eating actual spaghetti?
Oh my goodness. I forgot about that.
But no, their evil knows no bounds, Michael, because apparently one of the things that happened recently was one of the actresses in Zenless Zone Zero, who played a character called Soldier 11, found out when they did a patch update that like they had been replaced because they were participating in the SAG-AFTRA strike.
Oh, I heard about this actually.
Yeah,
my friends play this game apparently.
Yeah, and there's just like suddenly somebody else was doing the voice, like a non-union person was doing the voice. This also happened with another character in that same game, as well as two people in the new Modern Warfare who just had like additional lines added in by another voice actor. And the fucked up thing about the Modern Warfare one was the guy was like, they didn't change the credit, so it's just my name, but now there's a bunch of lines from somebody else, and people are like, hey, is this you? And he's like, no. So like there's actually I think there's an interesting idea there of like, I'm gonna sue you, like you're damaging my professional reputation by just saying like this character is voiced by this guy even though parts of the lines are not. Like what in the actual fucking fucking
like, at least
is that?
Credit the new that doesn't make any sense to me. This whole thing is fucked. It shows that that's the case. That's literally what they want to do to these people. Yeah, like overall, not just like, God, it's so frustrating.
That was part of the zombies mode, and that happened back in December. But yeah, this latest one from this Emery Chase just said was the quote, they were quote, replaced as Soldier 11 because I am unwilling to perform work not covered by a SAG interim agreement during a strike for AI protection, the outcome of which will determine the future of our industry. So
that's so fucked.
Like, so they just replaced her. There you go.
So somebody else as well who played Lycon.
Yep,
this has been similarly replaced. That's so fucked. Yep, that's so frustrating because after the strike is done, it doesn't mean they're just gonna like go back to their voices. Yep. At this point, they probably don't even want to if they wanted to.
Fuck no. I don't know.
So fucked.
That's just it's so scummy. So anytime that there's like, well, I don't know, man, be reasonable. What about the corporations? And I'm like, fuck the corporations. Fuck them, man.
Will anyone think of the corporations, Jeff?
Yes. We had another one too, another AI kind of kerfuffle. This one was about the Balatro subreddit.
What the fuck?
Which was very weird. So apparently they were on. Okay, so the Balatro subreddit, people were posting AI generated stuff to it, and there was a moderator named Dr. Tankhead who jumped in because there was a question about will we be allowing AI art. A lot of subreddits don't allow AI art to post it, and they said Dr. Tankhead wrote, we will not be banning AI art here if it is properly claimed and tagged as such. This has been done after discussion with the staff at PlayStack, which is like the publisher for Balatro.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice of them considering.
But it turns out that this was like a broad interpretation of something. Like, let's see. Let me see if I can find this. There was a thing that was like, so the original subreddit rules originally forbid, quote, unlabeled AI content. And then when they were asked about that, they were like, the moderator took it upon themselves to be like, so if it's labeled, it's fine. So if it's labeled, it's fine. Yeah. But then when they posted that, Local Thunk, the actual maker, said on Twitter, I learned about this a bit earlier. This is not how I feel about AI art. I normally wouldn't say something but the r/Balatro community, about the r/Balatro community, but this doesn't represent my beliefs, nor do I believe it represents how PlayStack feels about AI-generated imagery. I don't condone AI-generated quote-unquote art. And then they basically went on to basically say no AI art on Balatro subreddit. But part of this is there's little codex here. A lot of the art that was being, or some of the art that was being posted here came from another subreddit called where is it? Balatro Romance, which is an NSFW Balatro subreddit with a lot of jokers with their tops off generated by AI.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
And I was like, say what? I did not remember getting horny once while playing Balatro, unless I was horny for numbers.
Here's the thing, Jeff. I've never been less surprised by something. Yeah. Because for some reason the internet looks at anything and it goes, yeah, I could.
What if there were giant tits on that?
They're like, yeah, I could masturbate to that. Yeah. Like, just give me some time and I'll figure it out. Yeah. Kind of thing. You're like, why? Yeah. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah. Like Like, you guys know there's porn on the internet. Like, you don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, you just go to a website, look at pornography.
In the word porn, and it'll just you don't even have to type in the word porn. You can type in the word woman, and you'll somehow end up on a porn site.
You go to Google and type in the word boobies and turn off safe search. There you go. You're welcome. Like,
look up your favorite cartoon character at some point, and you're just gonna find it.
Right.
It doesn't matter anymore.
So yeah, it's a little weird where it's like, I guess. But
I'm so confused.
Again, I really wish that we were able to have a better conversation about AI art, but as long as the proponents of AI art are just like, yeah, use it for everything, use it unlimited, there's no questions here, it's all fully ethical, fuck your mother. And it's like, whoa, nobody.
That's always the problem with the way any new technology happens. You could make a machine that's just like everyone can get an orgasm at a push of the button.
Right.
And somebody would somehow use it for evil.
Yes.
I don't know how. Don't quote me on that, but they would do it.
Yep. God, this never ends, though. We also got a leak last week of a demo that uses Aloy's character model mixed with a synthetic voice that answers questions from like a person, like they talk into a microphone, and Aloy listens and then comes back and says some bullshit.
That's horrifying.
And it's, I think they took down the one that I saw earlier because Sony has been really aggressively taking shit down. Let's see, is this the one? I don't know if they actually have the demo in here. It's awful. It looks fucking terrible. Like, it's no, this is just somebody reading the news. What? That's stupid. You just read a news article and then tell people about it?
Well,
some bullshit right
if
there.
you look it up on Google, maybe somebody still has it somewhere.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
But it's just it's real gross. It's real gross. Like, I don't know, man. You know, Ashley Birch fucking did that character, and like people like it. And
she does a really good job doing it.
Voice doesn't even sound right. Like it sounds super. It sounds like an old. Do you remember before any of this bullshit when you would ask a computer to say something and it'd be like
those weird ones?
Oh, hello, Michael. How are you today?
You really turned me on, Smithers.
Right.
It's like, oh, you shouldn't have seen that. It's just I would never. It's just the AI thing. Because at first it was funny being able to make people say whatever.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning it was just like, I made Hank Hill say Russia's awesome or something.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then somebody's like, but what if we did that and then we did an entire movie with that?
Right.
And you're like, no, that's not what this was for. This was for dick jokes.
Yep. This was made.
It frustrates me.
Like, because, you know, we should be living in the golden age of jokes on the internet.
Yes.
Like when the main thing that we were seeing AI used for was like, what's that fashion brand where it would be like Harry Potter characters, and they're all just like talking about Gucci and whatever the other one was.
I know what you're talking about. Whatever it was called.
And it was like, oh, those were funny, and they weren't really hurting anybody. But like, this is just some stupid shit now.
There's like one thing on YouTube that makes me laugh that is the use of AI that still makes me laugh, and it's called Presidents Play something.
Oh yeah,
and it's just AI like presidents talking to each other as they're playing.
It's like Donald
Overwatch
Trump and Barack
something.
Obama and Joe Biden playing like Destiny.
Yeah, and they're really funny.
Yeah,
like this is what they should be being used for.
This should be used for shit posting.
Exactly,
not profit.
But instead, everyone's just like, you know, what if we replaced Ashley Birch with like a robot? It's like, no.
Oh boy. Okay, we've got more tabs and we've got not little time, so we're going to speed up a little bit. Neil Druckmann talked a little bit about the Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Last week on the podcast, I talked about how I was ready for Naughty Dog to just go make a fun video game again, and apparently, what's the quote? Let's see. I joke, quote, I joke about this with the team. We made a game, The Last of Us 2. We made certain creative decisions that got us a lot of hate. A lot of people love it, but a lot of people hate that game. But the joke is like, you know what? Let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion.
Sounds about right.
So apparently the whole point of this game is that there's this planet that's been like cut off, and it's been cut off for 2,000 years. It's now full of like religious zealots. And so our Cowboy Bebop 80s lady in her Ferrari spaceship is going there to like figure out what the fuck is happening there and has to try to survive as religious zealots are attacking. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't sound very fun.
No,
like,
it does not, but it depends on
like
how it goes.
The second half of Last of Us 2, where it was a bunch of religious zealots that were chasing two people and trying to kill them for stupid reasons. And I don't know. Oh no. Oh no.
No, I miss Fun Naughty Dog, but I feel like the people who made Fun Naughty Dog have probably all left at this point.
Probably
now
so.
It's just Druckmann and his weirdos.
Probably Druckmann. Like, I don't want to smell Neil Druckmann's farts. I want to smell Hideo Kojima's farts. Like, those farts are more fun.
Same with Sam Lake. I love that guy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe it's fine. You know, maybe we get a trailer and it turns out that it's like that's the basis, but it's all like quippy and fun and Nathan Drake style.
Well, the guy you're searching...
These guys overreact much? Like...
Yeah, the guy you're searching for is fucking Kamal Nanjiani.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's got to be some comedy in there somewhere.
Somewhere. So, I don't know. We'll see when we get more of it. So, speaking of developer stuff, I had a real fun time. I don't know if you watched this. Josef Fares, the guy that made Split Fiction and Haze Light and all that, you know, all the stuff that he made.
It Takes Two, yeah.
He did a Q&A on online where he was like reading people's tweets at him and then responding to them. What the fuck? How did I get to...
I have no idea.
See it on CD keys. Okay. And he had a part where somebody asked him, like, the tweet was like, well, I had it. I don't know why I like moved away from it. It's like another quote feminist propaganda unquote soaked game. Walk on. And so, like, you know, most normal people are just like, well, you know, people have different tastes of blah blah.
Yeah.
So Ferris was like, what the fuck does that mean? That's stupid. He's like, my first game was Brothers, and that was 2 men. My second game was A Way Out, and that was 2 men. My third game was It Takes Two, and that was a man and a woman. And the fourth game is 2 women, and it's about my daughters. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's stupid. And I was like, yay, just say they're stupid to their face. Don't engage with this bullshit.
Well, what I've always loved about him is he is one of those guys that's just like, I'm just going to say what's on my mind.
Yep.
The man, when he won It Takes Two, was fucking wasted.
Yep.
When he accepted that award, and it was one of the greatest moments in all of Game Awards history. And I love him forever for that reason.
He's a character. It's been a while since we've had a new like character in the video game industry.
Yes.
Not just like a talented person, but like a character.
Like a fun
coming
guy.
Out, just being like, I don't know what the fuck you want out of me. Oh, great.
I make games that people like. Fuck off. The end is all he says.
Yep, pretty much.
And he's fucking fantastic for it.
He's really great. I really like him quite a bit.
And cancel proof.
Split Fiction is so fun. It was so fun. Like, I played it with Amanda last week.
I'm not surprised by this at all.
It was so fun. So yeah, I can't wait to play more of it.
I'm so happy that he's getting success and everything. So fantastic.
Let's see. An interesting. Speaking of talking to developers, it was an interesting quote last week in an in an interview from Peter Moore. Remember him getting the tattoo of Grand Theft Auto or whatever?
I completely forgot about that in a while. Yeah.
And he basically was talking about how Microsoft would really be happy if they could just stop making hardware. They really don't want to continue to make hardware. They really just wish that they could be like a billion-dollar software company instead of having to keep up with the dumb hardware racket because they're not very good at it.
They're not very good at it. But, oh my God, it makes it for the funniest outcome if they do, because it just means that Xbox will now become the new Sega. Mm-hmm. And I find that incredibly funny.
Yep.
Not just because of that, because it makes me hope that Master Chief becomes the new Sonic in the bad time frame. So we get like Halo 6 type shit.
Yeah.
It would be the funniest goddamn thing to see him in a kart racer, or Master Chief in the, like, when he becomes a werewolf or whatever.
yeah.
I want the dumb era Sonic to hit Halo for some reason.
Very true.
That would be really funny.
Oh, you know what? There was something else that I'm just going to put this in here. I didn't actually have it as a story. I'm surprised that nobody talked about it. Real briefly, just to everybody, I thought this was very interesting. Did you see this shit with Mark Cerny last week?
I vaguely heard something about Mark Cerny last
Okay,
week.
so most PlayStations and
was
the
that,
Xbox use FSR
Yeah, that was
as
the thing I heard
their
about.
upsampling.
Yeah.
And AMD just put out FSR 4, which is a software stack that does upsampling. It's very good, apparently, but it can run on a lot of different hardware. Like, it doesn't have to run on AMD hardware. And so Mark Cerny is talking about how, like, next year they're probably going to try to backport FSR into the PS5.
Because they said they had like a partnership with them about something else that made it easier for them.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's possible. This is one of those weird eras that we live in. It's possible every PS5 game might end up looking better next year.
Oh, yeah.
Like even old ones that looked worse.
Great. The pisser is more powerful than anyone would possibly imagine.
Well, but no, but the question here would be: is it like you would have a choice between the pisser or FSR 4 because it wouldn't be both, right?
Well, I heard it was like like he thought about the idea of like fusing it somehow or something.
I didn't read that far into it.
I've heard different rumors. That's the thing. It's because at the moment, some of it's rumors, some of it's things that Mark Cerny himself has said.
Right.
So nobody really 100% sure what he means by it. But this is all stuff that I literally heard randomly, so I didn't look too deeply into it.
Yeah.
So you probably know more than I do about it.
I mostly just looked very briefly into it. So maybe I'll know more next week.
I heard it on the grapevine.
We'll find out. Speaking of Xbox and speaking of hardware and speaking of handhelds, apparently there is an Xbox handheld that has been in development for a little while.
Interesting.
That is supposed to be coming out at some point this year and is apparently might even be announced within the next week.
Oh wow! Do you think it's going to be? Do you think? Okay, there's two things it could be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One is it could be the way a Switch or the what was the name of the Steam one? The Steam Deck.
Steam Deck.
It could be either that direction, or it could do what the PlayStation Portal does.
Yeah.
Which is all cloud essentially based things.
I don't think it's
type
that.
Things.
Because this is specifically listed as a quote partner handheld unquote. So I'm pretty sure that they've given I know it's probably Lenovo has their own thing, but it would be the idea of they called up Lenovo and they were like, we want you to make something that is like a Steam Deck. It's branded, has an Xbox button on it, plays games, hooks to Xbox Game Pass. And then we'll sell it. You get a chunk, we get a chunk, as a way to kind of just try to get more of that chunk of the gaming public, the people who want to lay in bed and play a game on a handheld device.
Xbox doesn't have anything solid for that. It's mostly just play on your phone type things at the moment.
I don't think Xbox would stream from the Xbox because I think that their solution for that is, I think they're more invested in the xCloud stuff because they literally run that on as your hardware. So,
but do you think it'll be more cloud based then?
No. I think it'll be hardware. I think it'll be a Steam Deck or a
full blown the stuff inside of it.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think that making those is as hard as it used to be. You look at the handheld retro NES, Super Nintendo, all the way up to PlayStation, the ARM stuff. You just slap in a cell phone screen and a couple of plastic controllers on the side of an ARM thing in a case. You want to get enough hardware in there for it to be able to run decently.
Yeah. Because a lot of machinery has gotten so good at being miniaturized further and further that this is one of the things that really the reasons why the Switch has worked as well as it does is it uses a lot of the cheaper aspects of it, which is why it's cost effective. It's whether or not, in my opinion, it's whether or not Xbox can make it cost effective than whether or not they can make it work.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll find out more about that pretty soon.
Hopefully
soon. I don't know. I have a hard time with these stories because I wanted the PlayStation. It was funny because when I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, would I buy that? And I'm like, no, the PS Portal is fine for me. I don't need something I can take everywhere. I only need something I can take upstairs and downstairs in my own house. And I'd rather run the 4K HDR streaming version from the PS5 Pro than have a mid-grade hardware experience on a Steam Deck. So.
I just had a very dumb thought, which is what if it's the reason I find it stupid is because of how the PlayStation started. Yeah. Is if it's going to be the way the original PlayStation was supposed to be, where it's a fusion of the Nintendo and the and the PlayStation thing. What if it's like an Xbox Switch, and it's just like they came to agreement with each other. Now they just make like one giant thing.
Merged.
I just would find that really funny.
They're merging.
The Xbox Switch, they call it.
Last week we had a story about how Assassin's Creed Shadows will not be running was not certified for the Steam Deck.
Yes.
Apparently they flipped that. They managed to do some changes in the settings, and they think that they've got it running enough to get Steam to certify it as a Steam Deck compatible game. I gotta be honest, if that's the case, I don't think that bodes well for the performance of this game on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, that, and I don't. If you're gonna play that game that way, do it in your second run through.
Yeah,
is what I'm gonna have to say about that.
Yep. Let's see. Okay. Ubisoft has this like one shareholder who's trying to bitch and moan and complain, and like this is a story everybody should go read. It's a very it's an example of this kind of toxic thing that comes up with shareholders, where like one of the person's primary, as a shareholder in Ubisoft, one of their primary issues is that Assassin's Creed Shadows got delayed last year from June to October, and then it got delayed back into 2025, and their contention is like, if you knew it was going to be delayed, you should have delayed it from June to 2025, because the way that you delayed it twice harmed the reputation of the game, which drove your stock down, which lost me money as a stockholder of Ubisoft. That this is one of those weird fucking things where it's like, you're not handling your company right, and that's losing me money, and so I'm going to blame you, because technically companies have to act like in the best interest of their stockholders. Like, it's illegal not to. So you can't just do something because it's better for a video game. You're sometimes legally supposed to put out a shit game faster, because the damage to your reputation will be less than delaying something.
Delaying it and making it good somehow.
Right. Which is fucked up. Some fucked up thinking, in my opinion.
What's the problem that a lot of modern anything have, whether it's a movie, television show, or game, was that like if somebody makes a movie and then they're like, it's supposed to come out next year or something, but then the news comes out and they're like, well, test audiences, so forth, we did a bunch of reshoots, and then there's like 1,000 different reshoots. That does unironically cause a lot of issues like that, because more often than not, when you hear the term reshoots for a movie, your first thought is, oh, this movie's going to be bad because they had to do a bunch of different things. Right. But there's a lot of movies that had reshoots that actually turned out great. But they don't. A lot of times you don't find out about it until way after the fact. And so games have the exact same issue, where somebody's like, oh, well, maybe the game's terrible, and they're delaying it because of like something that didn't work, and that now it's going to be bad or something. And it does look weird in this reputation thing. And so stockholders are very weird because they don't really understand that it's not necessarily true for games the way it is for movies. Because most people don't pay attention to that sort of thing, movie or game wise. They pay attention to movie wise because it's everywhere. Right. But most people aren't on their phones going, oh my God, Assassin's Creed was delayed and Kotaku told me about it. And most people don't fucking know what Kotaku is. But everybody knows who People Magazine is. All they know is that they're like watching a video on the internet, and an ad comes up saying Assassin's Creed out now, like go get it. They're like, oh shit, I remember that game, let me go buy it. Exactly. Like, most people are not this granular into it. So I don't know. The stockholders are very frustrating when it comes to gaming. Oh boy. Okay, quick. Here we go. This is the big lightning round. You remember that game Spectre Divide, where it's a 3v3 Counter-Strike thing, where it's like it's 3v3, but then everybody has like a doppelganger that they can switch between? Yes, I remember that one. Came out a few months back. Was pretty well received. Numbers dropped from the first weekend to 400,000 concurrent players to last week, where it was like 1,000 concurrent players. They tried to put out season 1. They relaunched it on consoles. Didn't get any bump. The entire studio's going out of business. Everybody's getting laid off. The game's getting shut down. So fun fact, everyone. I forgot this game came out at all. Yep. And odds are everyone else did too.
it's a hard.
That's a shame.
It's a hard industry to break into, and if the company was that razor thin that they needed that big of a win without building, then it was probably a little rickety when it launched to begin with.
Yeah,
so
it was never going to work out the way they needed to.
Yep. Sad story, though. Sad story. Let's see. The Saudi government, specifically their mobile game division Scopely, which is owned by the Saudi Royal Investment Fund, bought Niantic.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, for $3.5 billion.
What the absolute fuck?
Yeah, Niantic, makers of Pokemon Go, is now owned by the Saudi investment firm. Niantic has tried to do 3 other Pokemon Go's, and none of them have worked. They did I think it was a Harry Potter one.
Oh, yeah. So they've made, okay, you're saying they've made other similar ones.
Yeah, but only Pokemon Go has ever had the legs to keep going. So.
Well, because those are the only ones that made sense for that sort of thing to be a thing. Every now and then I would see an ad for a new one. They're like Monster Hunter, where you can go outside and hunt a monster. And I'm like, well, that sounds dumb. I don't want to go outside and hunt a monster.
There's a Witcher one. I don't know if it was them, but there was a Witcher one at some point.
Everybody and their grandma was making one at one point, and then the majority of them died very quickly.
Because how popular it got after Hillary said Pokemon Go to the polls. We got the confirmation on Nintendo Switch 2 from an FCC filing that it will have NFC support, which means that it will probably be compatible with your amiibos. So,
hooray!
There you go, everybody.
Now I don't have to throw out all my amiibos that are worth money somehow.
Also, Pal World is getting a big update this month that is going to include crossplay and multiplayer and PAL trading and stuff like that.
Ooh,
so,
Pal World is the success I did not expect.
Me neither. When I first saw
it was fake
Pokemon with guns, and then the sad Pokemon working on the assembly line building AK-47s, and it was like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah, me and you thought it was a fake the joke video for a month.
Yep.
Till we realized it was real, and then we kept waiting. We kept counting the days till it came out so we could make fun of it, only to be like, this game's not bad actually.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And last but not least, we don't have we don't have a lot of time, so we're not going to be able to go into it. But there were a bunch of Battlefield 6 leaks last week.
I did hear about this.
And apparently, it's looking pretty good. It looks like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Modern Warfare. There's some mechanics where they show you can drag a person who's wounded to one side to try to revive them. You can drag them out of the line of fire. There were some videos showing a tank busting up through buildings and shit like that.
Yeah, I saw one where they shoot a building. Yeah, and the whole building just starts coming down. Yeah, around the guy. Yeah, it was fucking cool looking.
So yeah, there's some cool stuff out there for Battlefield 4 or for whatever the new Battlefield is. It looks like a return to what made Battlefield popular in the first place.
Yeah, and there was some stuff that I remember when they showed that first trailer to the last one, people thought it was going to be what that stuff is showing. Right. So people are very hopeful that they'll finally get the version of the game that they were hoping for.
Absolutely. All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We still got a buttload of trailers left to go, as well as some announcements. So stick around, and we'll be right back with all of that. And we're back. And Michael, this week when I was going through the trailers, I decided there was a full Mortal Kombat T1000 trailer, but I feel like I always put those at the beginning of the trailers. Oh. So I put it at the end of the trailers this time. Okay. And I figured we'd start with something different. So you're very aware of the fact that the Disco Elysium team is busted off into 3 separate projects. Yeah. And we got a Kickstarter trailer for one of them called Hope Town this week that is one chunk of the Disco Elysium team. This one is interesting. It's apparently about a person sent to this kind of this industrial place, and you have to like figure out what's going wrong there, and you're like a kind of a mind investigator type of thing. I think the biggest claim to fame with this one is like, I like the art style is very kind of, it's got these like kind of purple tinges to it. The Kickstarter video is just kind of like a graphics zooming through. But what's interesting that you can't hear is that the guy who does the narration from Disco Elysium is doing narration in this game.
Oh, okay.
So like it's him, and then a bunch of the people that the quote that they had was that they were like the people who busted their ass to get Disco Elysium over the finish line and out the door. So like when the artsy fartsy collective was dealing with shit, these were the guys that came in and were like, we gotta ship a fucking video game. So
okay, so they're the no fucks team.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, this is Long Due Games, and they're getting ready to open up a Kickstarter for this. And they put out a little teaser video, and they also kind of just talked a little bit about like the kind of design philosophy of the game and stuff. There's no anything specific. It's mostly just concept art.
Fucking Unity shirt.
Oh yeah, the guy is one of the guys is a very strange Unity shirt. I don't know. It's hard to tell because I'm still not 100% certain of what the fuck happened over there. Like I've watched full YouTube videos talking about the holding company and the representative company and all this stuff, and I still don't have it all straight in my mind.
Yeah, the problem is that you're like, look, you all together made like one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't know which one of you is the one I should be rooting for.
Right.
Because one of you could be like a terrible chunk of people, and one of you could be like the thing that made everything work.
Right.
Or one of you might be both of them, and I don't really know how to feel about that.
Or it might be like that part in Fear of a Black Hat where the band goes their separate ways. They all end up doing mediocre projects, and in the end they have to come back together to actually do something worthwhile.
Like we're not really sure what's going on here.
Yeah.
We're hoping it's like the Blues Brothers where the band works, or unlike Blues Brothers 2000 where the band does not work.
Yes. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. I don't think their Kickstarter is open quite yet. Like they said that they were going to be doing one a little bit later, but I'm interested. I mean, Disco Elysium was great. And again, I think like I'm also just very intellectually curious about like, okay, which one of these is the good one? Or are they all the good ones? They could all be good ones. They could all be my special babies.
Like, which one of them was the secret sauce guy?
Right.
And which one of them, or is it like that all of them separately are bad, but together they make like something amazing? Like we don't know. We really don't know.
Are all of them separately good?
Yeah.
Like they may all be very talented, and now we've spread the seeds. Kind of like if you had like a movie review website, and then it fell apart, and everybody went their own separate ways. And like one person was really really good, but everybody else was good too. So
yeah, it's just like that.
Just like that. My Kickstarter opens this week. Patreon.com/RageSelect. The other tease we had was this is called Project C4, and this is from ZAUM, which is the actual company that made Disco Elysium.
Okay.
This one is very abstract. It's about some kind of like espionage, but the trailer seems like the thing that's in here is whoever did the crazy art designs for all of the internal voices and the paintings that they had. Like, seems like that art person is still with ZAUM, because what's in this teaser is a bunch of abstract fucking craziness.
Oh, it's pretty gorgeous, but also batshit insane looking.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts looking. And it's very, like, I couldn't tell you what the actual contents are about.
No idea.
In any way, shape, or form.
It's an artsy trailer. That's the best way I can put it.
Yep. I do kind of like the idea of this kind of weird cyberpunkish kind of stuff with all this kind of organic religious iconography mixed with like technology and stuff. The art is gorgeous. So I'd be interested to see kind of what they do, but yeah, I don't know. You gotta check it out. Project bracket C4. So again, I defy you to tell me what this trailer is about. I don't know.
There's some rabbits in there.
Yep.
Some gore.
Obliteration wears a rented suit.
A
it
lot
says,
of teeth.
Get ready, operant. I'm like, wow, okay.
I don't know what's happening. And then the zoom in on that guy's head.
Yeah,
that's a really cool shot right there, by the way, this last shot here.
Oh, with the guy with like the bullet with the missiles.
He's like holding the bullet from one side to the other.
And like his face broken apart with like the bodies inside. It's very weird.
Really
it's
cool,
very weird.
but very weird.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm really hoping to see some good stuff come out of some of the remnants of this. I don't know. We'll see as time goes on. changing courses completely to find out what the no, I had a segment for this. Speaking of sequels, we got a very important sequel announcement, and that is that there is going to be a Power Wash Simulator 2. Of course there is.
Well, not just of course there is. If you would have told me when the Power Wash Simulator originally came out that one, it would be one of the most celebrated games since its release. Two, it would have a shit ton of DLC that are so mainstream, by the way, not just like, hey, you're gonna clean up some dude's house.
Right.
No, you clean up SpongeBob's house, and Wallace and Grombit's house, and the DeLorean time machine, and Warhammer shit.
Fucking Cloud Strife's motorcycle.
And then they made a VR, and now they're making a sequel to it. I would have called you fucking insane. No one cares about power washing that much, I would have told you. By God, was I so wrong at the time.
The trailer is just all the little, because the gnomes are like hidden characters, like there's a gnome in every level type of thing.
You want to know how little I believed in this game originally?
Tell me.
We played this game haphazardly. Originally. We were just like, we have nothing right now. We're going to, I guess, play Power Wash Simulator. And then we started getting into it. And then Jeff got really into it after that.
I've played every single DLC pack that's come out.
I was shocked.
Entire main game plus all DLCs. Well, it's very easy to just load up and, listen to a podcast. The one thing I will say is that I didn't really understand Power Wash Simulator until I started playing it with a mouse and keyboard. The mouse. The mouse is like,
you're telling me about that.
Very necessary for Power Wash Simulator, in my opinion. But good stuff. Can't wait. I don't know. Did they say? Coming this year, 2025. Wish list now.
It's probably going to be like not early access, because this is a PlayStation trailer one. So I'm curious as to what that will entail.
I'm curious to see what new DLC as well. But people forget the main game had a very weird story.
Yes, there's a plot to Power Wash Simulator. If you guys do not know that,
like about where did all the dirt come from, and like who's covering it up, and the mayor. Like it was very strange,
crazy,
very strange.
It just starts off. You're just like, you have a power wash business. And then you were telling me how it ended, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you say? It was like a JRPG round. It was crazy.
By the end, you were literally like dealing with like otherworldly like religious iconography, and you're like, okay.
It's craziness.
From there, speaking of simulator games, we got the reveal trailer for Firefighting Simulator. I put these in a logical order, which means that it's not just like the most important things first.
So which part is when you play Kurt Russell, like in Backdraft?
Ooh, that's a good question. A lot of this is obviously just like CG. I'm happy that the simulation niche keeps trucking along, and like
I would say I'm shocked, but it's actually a really popular business in Europe specifically. I never understood it, but they love it.
And then hey, like this is akin to Power Wash Simulator, in that you're using a bunch of water to do something useful for people.
That's true.
Which sure, I guess like some of them are just this looks really nice too, like Unreal Engine 5 or something. I don't know if it's actually Unreal Engine 5, but it looks pretty nice. So
there's Unreal Engine, so the Unreal Fire Engine, they call it.
Coming fall of this year, going up against Grand Theft Auto 6 Firefighter Simulator.
This is you play specifically the guy who has to keep stopping the fires that the Grand Theft Auto guy keeps setting.
Oh god, like a viscera cleanup detail, but like for the carnage of Grand Theft Auto.
I would play that. I'd play that really fast.
I would play that too. Let's see. From there, speaking of simulators, we got the release date trailer for The Renovator, which is a game where you're like renovating a house, but it's also haunted.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's kind of like instead of renovating like a house to flip, like in House Flipper, you're renovating like a really spooky place that's full of like crazy ghosts and shit, and you've got to like figure out how to like get done with your shit. So. I think this is the same game I'm thinking of, where I saw a trailer a long time ago for a game like this, where I was like, that's a great idea for a game, combining House Flipper with Resident Evil 7.
It's also the kind of thing that I would like to watch a movie of.
Yeah.
Because I love or just not even a movie, but like a skit of a guy who's just like an HGTV show.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you got to fix up this haunted house. And he's like, I'm going to fucking pull this shit off.
Yeah.
You're going to buy this thing so fast.
So like Ghost Hunters home renovation edition.
Yeah. I'd love for that. I would love that shit. It would be really funny to watch the ending.
Yeah.
See if they even somehow figure out how to renovate the ghost.
This looks okay. Like, this looks okay. It's a little rough around the edges.
It's very indie game looking.
Yeah. And it's coming out April 4th. So
that could go either way.
I don't know. See how things go in April. I don't know. Maybe we'll check it out and see if we can, if it's got anything to offer. Let's see. We also got another horror news. This is an announcement trailer for a PSVR 2 game called Get Out. No relation.
No relation.
I watched this trailer and I'm not entirely certain what it's about. All I know is that it appears there's a certain segment of it where you're like a prisoner with a bag over your head and like you're trying to escape a place, but you're like you have a bag over your head, so you're looking through a bag. Looks like one of the most nauseating video games I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah,
like,
this is nauseating me now.
Yeah,
and I'm not using a VR headset right now.
It also though, like with the kind of running through the hall, seeing a variety of different like monsters to one side or the other, it kind of reminds me of the David Pumpkins skit from SNL.
It's David Pumpkins.
David
who is that? Am I supposed to know who that is?
Yeah. So yeah, that was announced and looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, it could. Well, depending on the actual game, it could be interesting. If you have to do that with the bag on your head, you would get sick so fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Speaking of VR, we got a trailer. I didn't know this was going to happen, but they're putting the Hitman VR on the PSVR 2. Which it hasn't been on.
Oh, that's cool.
It's been a lot of it has been on the
Metas or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
the Meta Quest, which I did never want to do because Hitman is a beautiful game, and I would like to play it in a higher resolution than what was available on the Meta Quest. So,
okay. Well, maybe will you play it this time now?
Maybe, I don't know. Recording VR dojos is very difficult.
No, I mean in general, like you don't have to like do the dojo.
Maybe, I don't know. I load
because you have the thing. So
yeah, I did loan Matt my old PS5. Which I had downstairs to play VR, but I might take it for a spin. I don't know. It's not like the PS5 Pro is hard to move or anything.
No,
so. But yeah, in this trailer, they show off a little bit of the Miami level and kind of getting into a place. I do like the fact that in the Hitman thing, it's like they show a place where he goes into this room and he can knock somebody out by throwing a can at them, but you're literally able to like have one thing in each hand and throw two things at the same time to knock out two people.
That is pretty cool, actually.
Which is something you can't actually do in the main game. So.
Yeah, that's actually really useful. I didn't even think about that.
Also, it's interesting because it's kind of a little hard to tell. It looks pretty high resolution, especially when I know that there's like a degradation between what you see in a trailer and what you actually see in like the headset.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, looks pretty good. Coming March 27th.
Oh, that's pretty close.
Yep. Let's see. From there, speaking of first-person action, we got the release trailer for the latest season of Call of Duty Warzone, which is called Verdansk. They're bringing back the Verdansk map.
Oh, okay. That was one of the earlier ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the first one. So this is kind of like Fortnite classic.
It's chapter 1 thing, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's this very like cheesy trailer where they're playing the song Unforgettable over like a bunch of war. People are like looking at handfuls of the dirt and like rubbing their face on the ground and over the walls and shit. Like,
it's weird that like these battle royale games have been going on long enough that people can feel nostalgia for their first maps.
Right.
It's just weird to me.
Right. I don't care it up. Well, that's not entirely true. Like if they were to put out Hitman 3, like for example, right? And it had a level from Hitman World of Assassination, or no, wait, Hitman 3 started to think. They put out a new Hitman game, and there was like a new version of one of those levels that looked even better and was like remixed. I would probably have nostalgia for it.
That's not what I mean though, because that's like playing like that's a normal game with the map coming back again.
Right.
These are live service games that you go back to like the non-interesting version of a map.
Yeah.
Because usually by then they've added a lot of insane shit to it. That's usually what happens with the Fortnite ones, for instance. But people treat it like it's like, the second coming of God or something. And you're like, look, dude, it's just like, it's like doing the Blood Gulch map in Halo again.
Right.
Like, I love that map, but there's a lot more really cool maps nowadays for those things.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is that I don't think neither you nor I is anywhere near the demographic for this bullshit, because it's for people that play just like one game over and over again.
That's true.
And I'm just like, why would you ever want to go backwards? Go forwards to the cool shit. Where is the cool shit?
Or ever twirling towards freedom, Jeff.
Yep. We also got a reveal trailer for this game called Fracture Point. That's like an indie first-person shooter. It's very weird, Michael. This kind of reminds me of Black.
No, yeah, that's what I was thinking when it first showed it.
Like, it's very high contrast, and there's just like a lot of like big bombastic action. The gun shakes really hard when you're shooting it.
Black was very much this game. Like Black's game, this like claimed to fame at the time was the sheer amount of bullet holes you would see on the map.
So I don't know. It definitely looks like, again, okay, are you guys never going to make a sequel to Black? Well, then fuck you. I'll make my own sequel to Black. I got Unreal Engine 5.
You know what? I actually really like that. I remember Black was a very popular game at the time. I'm amazed they didn't make more of those.
Yep.
That's craziness.
Well, I think it was one of those. I think there's like a what happened on it, right? Where it was a really kind of fucked up development.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That, and it came out in a time where multiplayer games were starting to catch on.
Right. Which that game would have been perfect for multiplayer.
It would have, yeah. But it was, and that was the crazy part, is it wasn't a multiplayer game. I was always surprised by that. When they came out. So yeah, take a look at that. Let's see. After that, I don't know why I didn't put this near Verdansk, but Fortnite's got the Getaway. Yeah, it's a new game type, apparently. I haven't tried it at all.
You got to get the Crystal Llama. It says like a heist mode.
Yeah, because this...
Oh, it's extraction. It's extraction mode. Okay.
Yeah, but you're also like getting this... Yeah, because this is like a crime-themed level or something like that. But there are versions of it that are both zero build and the normal
build mode.
So that's one of the reasons I considered trying it, but I haven't really been playing the season that much. I did all the the Battle Pass stuff for it, because of the power of AFK naps that I can fuck with while I'm working. So I haven't really felt the need to play this game.
Why do I want to play the video game when I can just get all the stuff by going to this one level?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially because, there's a lot of games that are out right now. And Monster Hunter really has me by the gonads at the moment. Mm-hmm. So and even the guy I play with normally, he hasn't been playing it very often too. So I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel like it. So
yeah, that makes sense. It is interesting to just see. I mean, Fortnite's just always doing some shit, man. Yeah. Like, they never slow down. They're always just got some new shit for you to try out, new skins, new modes, new stuff.
Yeah, and if this mode I don't like, they're going to come out with another new mode, with a new battle pass, with a new character you didn't expect to show up in Fortnite.
Yep.
Every single time.
Let's see. From there, we got the launch. Oh, no, wait. I was going to... we had the Wander Stop launch trailer, but I talked about this last week. It's a very cute trailer.
Yes.
Wander Stop is a fun game, so
just be excited for it, guys.
We got the announcement trailer. There's some also little indie things for this game, Layla, which is kind of a combination of like animation and then some like puzzle stuff. It's got a very kind of striking look to it. A lot of hand animation to it, and apparently it's one of these like it's about a lady looking back on her life, and then it kind of like becomes this little strange like kind of metaphorical stuff that's happening, and it looks interesting.
I really don't know what to say about it, because it's just a series of different things, I guess.
It's a series of very strange little vignettes that are all very different, and it's unclear what, if any, part of them are a thing. It looks kind of like a little puzzle adventure game, but again, it's not entirely clear what the hell is happening in a lot of this.
It kind of reminds me, though, of those like old 90s point-and-click adventure games you could sometimes play that were not as like super detailed. So I think that's probably what they're going for too.
Yeah, I think so too. It's very striking though. I think it's got a pretty good art style, but definitely one of those kind of slice of life. You got to be in it for the story kind of games. So
100%. Coming of age type things. Yeah.
Yep. From the Humble Game Showcase, it's funny. I've never on the channel put the game Wall World. Wallworld is a very strange game where you're playing like a guy that drives this spider tank that is going up this wall, and then you have to like stop at points and like drill in and get resources, and then upgrade your wall walker. And there's kind of like things that attack from the side, so like the entire like the main part of the game is just like, well, no, the main part of the game is a little exploration part, like 2D side-scrolling exploration, but then like it's all with this big wall walker thing. It's kind of one of these like very simple games, but games that are interesting, that people have a lot of kind of got real glommed onto. And it looks like they're definitely like they've added a lot more. There's like a 2D mode where you're kind of got the spider tank going on, and there's more stuff to it. So I'm glad that this studio has that like this was successful enough that they were able to make something else. My
favorite thing about that graphic is my brain keeps thinking of wall to world instead of wall world 2.
Thinking of what?
It makes me think it says wall to world.
Wall to world?
Wall to world.
Oh,
instead of wall world 2.
Oh, yeah. I see.
It just made me, for some reason I thought it said that. I'm like, I know that's not what it says, but my brain can't stop thinking it says that.
Yeah. I don't know. Someday, maybe when the sequel comes out, we'll take a look at it. I remember taking a look at this one kind of. It was one of those games that kind of got a little bit of a boost based on, I think, some streamers playing it.
A lot of these weird indie games, usually a streamer makes people really understand.
What was the game we played where it was like you were diving and you were getting gems, and then you brought the gems back up, and then you used
I know what it is,
upgrade?
But I don't remember what it was called.
It's kind of like that, but I think it was a little better. I think it was a little better than that. So, let's see. From there, I'm skipping that one. I don't like that one. From the same Humble Games showcase, we got Bo Path of the Teal Lotus. This was a game that actually came out a little while back. It was a 2D Metroidvania where you played like a little kind of fox spirit that had some like really cool iconography. It was all kind of like hand animated and looked really good. This was fun when it came out, but it already came out. But they they announced a DLC for it that they're putting out called oh god, what is it? Come on, put it on the screen. Tanuki Kabuki.
Oh, okay.
That appears to be kind of a little like sub map that's based on Tanuki stuff. So
that's fun.
Yeah, well, it's pretty cool. DLC coming soon. All right, we got the. Oh, dude, Jeff, what did you do? You should have put this somewhere else. Okay, remember Bee Simulator?
Bees? Sorry.
Bee Simulator? June, I think I might have played with somebody else, but
you did. Because if I did, I would have been making Will Arnett bee jokes, or Seinfeld bee jokes as well.
Yeah,
the entire fucking video.
So this game, there was a game called Bee Simulator that was what it said. You play as a bee. You're buzzing around doing stuff, but they've like enhanced it and added more to it, and they're putting out a new version called Bee Simulator: The Hive, where there's like more environments and there's some more stuff, and it's expanded. So if you're into the kind of like playing as a bug, kind of Mr. Mosquito, but a lot more realistic.
Oh, because this wasn't a console version originally, right? I think that's why it's coming this way.
I thought it was on the consoles, but I
could have sworn
remember.
it was just a PC game at the time.
Let's see if we can find out. Bee Simulator, because we're way ahead right now. So, it was on the Xbox, the PlayStation.
All right, cool. Then I stand corrected. Then
it was 2019. This is a PS4.
PS4 game. So that's okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is just the new console version, basically.
Yeah, it'll be on the PS5 with some enhancements and some other stuff.
Some enhancements.
Yep. Speaking of shit that flies around, we got this launch trailer on the Nintendo Switch for a game called Kamikaze Last Planes that appears to be a shmup mixed with some kind of dating simulator, but also there's darkness and war.
Okay.
And then there's also like booby waifus, and you fly like a little plane. You have like side-scrolling shmup, and then in between you got to talk to the waifus about their feelings.
Of course you do.
And I was like, what?
This is the thing about games, is it can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
Even the weirdest fucking combination of things that you can think of.
I think there was a series, I can't remember the name of it, a long time ago, where I think it was like had some of these like kind of visual novel elements, and with a shmup. I think they're like animals or something. I don't remember what exactly was going on with that. But
sorry, that cut wanted to make me laugh so much.
Yeah,
because it was just her being cutesy, that it was just like murder. Like,
yeah. Like there was a lot of weirdness in this.
It's like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Well, or maybe not. It's out right now, and I don't know whether I've got a place in the schedule to play Kamikaze Last Blades.
We'll just leave it to the time where there's nothing out.
Yeah.
And then ask a man to do it.
We got the opening cinematic for Bleach Rebirth of Souls.
I almost forgot about this.
Which is coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Like it's coming out pretty soon. I actually was looking at the schedule, and it was coming out kind of at the same time as some other big stuff, to the point where I was like, I don't know if I've got room on the schedule for this unless somebody is really into Bleach. Like, I've asked you about it, and I feel like you used to watch Bleach, but were never really like super into it.
Really early on was when I watched Bleach. I watched Bleach when it started, and that was like fucking 10 years ago, if not even earlier than that.
But isn't this one of those ones that follows the story? So wouldn't you recognize the stuff that happens at the beginning because it's the beginning of Bleach?
Yeah, but here's the thing: I haven't watched the beginning of Bleach since then, so I would have forgotten most of that stuff.
But Michael, think about the Todd Clorox jokes. Have you not? You haven't considered the Todd Clorox jokes.
We can still do it. Don't get me wrong. I know Ichigo's name.
Yeah,
and I don't remember much else outside of that, and the Bankais and the.
It's pretty bombastic.
And the big booby lady.
Pretty bombastic title sequence. I like the black and white and red. Like
that is pretty cool.
It's a very kind of cool color scheme. So I trying to remember what was on the schedule around the time that it comes out, because it's the 21st.
That's pretty soon.
I think that's the end of next week. Oh yeah, it was a question about whether we would play Bleach or the Xenoblade Chronicles re-release.
Oh,
so I don't know yet. We'll see. Okay. Now, after a long time, how about Mortal Kombat 1 T1000?
This is a fantastic trailer, by the way.
It is. Some of the I like Madame Bo's shoe attack. I'm a big fan of that.
Yes.
There were some very strange attacks from the T1000.
Yes. There's a lot of interesting attacks that he does.
Like that one where he like blaps down to the floor and his bottom half goes out as like spikes to step on, and I'm like, I don't remember that part of the movie.
Well, they're basically like attacks from like Killer Instinct for Glacier.
Yeah.
So it's like really interesting because a lot of them are references, but also just like other fucking things.
I do like this one with. Did you watch this trailer?
I did.
With him and Johnny Cage, where he's like, "I'm looking for John Connor." He's like, "John Connor? No, I'm Johnny Cage."
You got Johnny Cage up in this bitch. It's really fun, and there's so many like great little Easter eggs for what he does throughout the trailer. Mm-hmm. Like even the run that he did when he's runs at him with the gun.
Yeah, and the kind of the finger spike that you see in the movie.
And one of his attacks there, like you saw, was just Shao Kahn's hammer made out of liquid metal.
Oh, yeah.
Which I found fucking interesting.
Yeah, because wasn't he using, what's his face? The dude with the gas mask on?
Cabal?
Cabal's, like, blades earlier on?
Those are just the blades he made when he chased after the car that when he clings onto it.
No, not those. There's a point where he's, like, literally holding, like...
I saw it. No.
You see that there? Yeah.
It's his grab is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, he definitely seems to have like some weapons from other people in his movesets.
Yeah, because he's got like the jade staff, it looks like.
Yeah, and then at one point he stabs. It's like there's a lot of interesting things, like the pole's clearly like a reference to Jade, but at the same time a reference to, you know, him using that one pole on Arnold
right
towards the third act of the movie. There's so many great little like motions that he does that
I
are just so
love
fun.
The Madame Bo takes off her fucking sandal and whoops up. I love that as a cameo. Like,
it's so fun.
I wish they had goofier cameo characters than the ones that they have. Like,
yeah, there's only two really goofy ones, and it's her and the female Johnny Cage.
Cassie Cage.
Cassie Cage. Yeah. I forgot of her. I think that was your name. But
yeah, but I like the where he turns into the other person for his fatality, and then He
it's
does
just full of references.
It's both times that he stabs somebody after he turns into them, and then
he does the elevator opening thing as the way he kills them.
Yep.
It's like, well, that's fucking weird.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
And we're getting Robert Patrick again. Is just the chef's kiss.
Yep.
For it.
Oh, I didn't even watch all the way to the end where he's his animality.
Yeah, he's a police canine.
Okay.
It's so fucking funny. But it looks so great, and I can't wait. And I'm only bummed because I really wish I liked Mortal Kombat 1 more than I do.
Every time they come out with a new character, we always say that, where it's just like, God damn, you guys are doing great work. I just wish I wanted to play your video game.
Like, when MK11 was out, I was playing the shit out of it as DLC was coming out.
Yep.
Now I'm just like, I'll play it when I get a chance.
I haven't even played Ghostface.
I haven't either. I haven't even touched him.
Yep.
I haven't used Conan.
I think I barely played Peacemaker. I think
I used a lot of Peacemaker when he came out purely because I like John Cena.
I think Omni-Man was kind of the last time I was really into it. So
yeah, he was pretty good.
We also got some Nintendo Switch Online stuff that came out for Mario Day last week. Specifically, the Game Boy version of Donkey Kong, which, as I understand, is a really weird game.
So it's like a sequel thing. So you remember when we played Mario versus Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
This is what that gameplay came from.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why you see he's doing all the things that you did for Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Right.
It starts off as normal Donkey Kong, and then it turns into a different game all of a sudden.
Like, it's like the first 4 levels are just Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But then after that, it just keeps going. And you're like, oh, shit, instead of starting over again.
And so it became like a crazy remake sequel instead, which is why I remember I was talking to somebody about Mario vs. Donkey Kong. They're like, yeah, it's just that game, but like remade.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And then I looked it up because I just assumed it was just Donkey Kong on the Game Boy.
Right.
And then I found out, it was like, no, it has this huge cult following because of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that, but it tricks you into thinking it's that.
Yep.
And I think that's fascinating.
And then the other one was Mario's Picross.
Oh, okay.
So, which I'm not really a Picross guy.
I'm not either.
Just like,
I'm terrible at Picross.
Not my fucking thing. So, yeah. But it's nice to have access to both of these. So if you got Nintendo Switch,
especially that Donkey Kong one, because that game is not easy to get at the moment, and it's a game that they never really re-released until now, as far as I know.
I would assume so. Let's see. We got some PlayStation Plus catalog updates for March. This is for the PS Plus Extra subscribers are getting UFC 5, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, Captain Tsubasa, Rise of the New Champions, Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Crazy-ass motherfucker.
Yep.
Arcade Paradise, You Suck at Parking, and Siberia the World Before. And then the PS Plus Premium is getting Arcade Paradise VR, and then 3 PSX Armored Core games.
Yeah, I think this is the original 3.
Yep. Armored Core Project Phantasm, Armored Core Master of the Arena.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be playing any of them because I don't want to play PS1 Armored Core. I want to play like PS4 Armored Core.
They're the ones I grew up on originally, the original one. And it's when you play it, you're like, oh, wow, everything is so much different now.
Yep.
But like it's quaint now. But I remember at the time, I remember being like, this is a lot.
I would have to see that's not true. I might load them up just to see if you can remap it so that you can use the right stick instead of like, because those first ones you use the shoulder buttons to look up and down.
Yeah, there was no sticks at the time. It was all just the original PlayStation 1 controller,
and it's some bullshit.
Oh yeah,
it's some bullshit.
It was super difficult, but it was also like one of the reasons it felt more like an armored simulator because it wasn't super easy.
Right.
It was a good time though.
Yep.
At least it was at the time.
Let's see. From there, speaking of PlayStation stuff, we are pretty sure that we've got the release date for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the PS5.
Tell me more, Jeff.
Probably April 15th.
Okay.
This is from a leaker, but then it also got an ESRB rating, which is usually imminent announcement of release date. And based on this leaker's information, next month, like put out a trailer at the end of the month, do the hype to the beginning of April, and then like put it out is probably how it's going to go. I cannot wait for people to play this game. It is amazing. I love it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And the PS5 is going to be getting a really good version of it because all the bugs have been worked out.
I'm very excited. I've been holding off on playing it, not just because of it being on the Xbox. It's because I have an Xbox. It's not like I can't play it.
Yeah.
It's that I just wanted to get through some more of my backlog stuff.
Sure.
And I did. Mission accomplished. Not everything I wanted to, but enough that I feel comfortable with the fact this game's going to come out. Like you said, all the bugs are going to be out.
Yep.
And I'm curious how it'll run on a Pro.
Yep. It'll probably run better than it did on the Xbox. I played the whole thing on the Xbox, so probably run better on PS5 Pro. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And I think once you're done with it, it's going to be a Marvel Midnight Suns type of thing, even though you finished that game and I didn't, where it's just like, I think more people need to be talking about that Indiana Jones game. I think they fucked it by releasing it in December. Like
they did. That's the problem with stop releasing things in like December. And if you do, let more people know about it.
Right. Right.
That's the problem.
I think it would have probably had a bigger splash if it had been released in February.
Yeah,
honestly.
Or even October. It would have made a really good impression in October.
Yep, because it's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for you to play it. The combat is absolutely ridiculous. Like where you're just fucking picking up like a lamp and hitting somebody over the head with it. It's great. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Everybody should play it. Everybody should get it. Everybody should get it. Everybody should play it. Okay, last week we had the announcement of RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business. I don't know if you saw that trailer.
I did. You sent it to me, remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're like, dude.
At the NACON thing, I talked about it as if it was DLC.
I thought it was too.
It is not DLC. It is a standalone product that takes place after the main game and is a standalone side story, which seems weird to me.
It's very weird to do.
Because why would you not make it DLC so you could get people to buy the game, unless you just don't think that you could get anybody to buy the game who hasn't already?
No,
so.
I think part of it might just be like to keep you in that specific map, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like most people would just, I don't know, like it's probably like an upgrade system situation or something. But
yeah,
it looks really fun, and I'm really excited for the stuff that they mention in it, which is like how much it's going to be about like Murphy flashbacks at the same time.
Yep, we saw that in the announcement trailer. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, you know what? Does that go through the 20th? Oh shit! All right. Hey everybody. RoboCop Rogue City is $10 on Steam right now.
Oh, is it really?
And it goes through March 20th. So,
and the Alex Murphy edition is $12.
Yeah,
which comes with all the different outfit colors and stuff.
Yes,
so you should do that.
Rogue City was a game that I waited until the end of the year to play. I think in 2023, where it was like that was when I did the backlog for it because the PS version had that weird flash glitch on it.
Still does, as far as I know. Yeah.
Hated, but like. That game rules. That game rules.
100%.
It's if you ever wanted to play a game that was like very true to the idea of being RoboCop, it was like, yes, they made RoboCop into a video game. You walk slow, but you hit hard.
Yeah, I remember the first time I played it. I'm like, I'm both happy and mad that I can't move any faster than this.
Yes.
But then once you got used to it, because you are a tank.
Yep.
You're a literal tank of just fucking up things. It's hard to die in that game.
Yep.
And then eventually it becomes really easy to die. But once you've upgraded enough, it becomes very difficult to die again.
Yep.
But my God, guys. And it's got everything you want from it. It's got the Peter Weller back as RoboCop, and it takes place between 2 and 3, so it's a great little like explanation for why 3 happens the way it does.
Great nostalgia.
It's fucking great.
Everything in it is like very well rendered. Like the police station looks exactly like it did in the movie, and
the gun looks great.
Like, the only thing that it's missing is Clarence, but Clarence is dead, so it's like
Well, the only other thing I know that it's missing that people were annoyed with, I got over it pretty quickly, is the gun's firing sound. It's different.
Slightly different.
You get over that pretty quickly.
Yeah,
because you're too busy, shooting people in the balls.
Yep.
To really care.
Yep. Speaking of nostalgia, this is amazing. Okay, there's this company called Chuhai Labs, and they are making a game called Wild Blue. And this, Michael, is from some of the original developers of Star Fox, which Nintendo has completely abandoned after the debacle of Star Fox on the Wii U.
They completely fucked that.
And Adventures on the GameCube.
Those were their own faults, in my opinion.
And this trailer, there's nothing in it. It's just flying the clouds. But when you hear the voices, they sound like Star Fox characters, where they're just like, oh, let's go. We're getting ready to go. And then somebody at the end says, like, do a bear. And they're like, we don't call it that, sir. But
I love that.
When you look at the actual screenshots, This is like a fucking Star Fox game.
That is
man.
a Star Fox game.
That was like a fucking Star Fox game
Star
right
Fox
here.
ass Star Fox game.
So,
but in the best way possible.
Yeah. So yeah, it
look
has
at that fucking that fox in a mohawk in a wheelchair.
Yep.
Looking dude.
He's a dog. He's like a German Shepherd, not a fox. Yeah. So.
That's fucking great. I love that.
It's great. It doesn't have an announcement yet, but hey, it's on Steam. You can put it on a wish list. Looks good. Looks good.
I'm excited. That's actually pretty exciting.
And it's the company that made Curse to Golf.
Oh, that's fun.
And Paper Valley, even though I don't know. I think it's a VR game. Oh, boy. All right. Now I've managed to drone on long enough that we got to do lightning round. Ready, everybody? Let's go. Boom. Hey, you remember that Hideo Kojima DLC for Control?
I do.
It was in the PS4 Ultimate Edition.
It's very exciting.
They put it out on all the editions. You can now play it no matter what edition you have. It's on the Steam version, et cetera, et cetera. So
good for us.
Go play it. It's crazy. Respawn was working on some kind of multiplayer FPS thing that was in like a Skunkworks prototype phase, incubation period.
Okay.
It has been canceled, and everybody that was working on it is now no longer with the company. So
that's super depressing.
Fucking boo.
I know somebody who works at Respawn. I should check on them in case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. You know, remember that that Stardew Valley mod that put all the Baldur's Gate people in Stardew Valley?
I do.
It came out.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. You can download it. Apparently, there's only a romance with what's it, Asterion right now.
Oh, okay.
But they literally said that the first thing they're working on is Halsin's romance, which is the guy that turns into the bear.
Oh, okay.
And then not only that, but Sven Vinke kind of gave it his seal of approval when they announced, or they put it out on Twitter, and he retweeted it saying, "So much love went into this amazing work."
Good for him.
Yeah, it's nice to just be nice.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to be that nice, and I like that for him.
Yep. The next killer in Dead by Daylight is Tokyo Ghoul, is Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay.
When he goes fucking nuts at the end of the anime and turns all like super psycho. So
cool.
That's a deep pull. Like, but then their last thing they did was like the Uzumaki crossover, or it was just Juji Ito.
It was
like
Juji Ito stuff. Yeah.
It wasn't even Uzumaki. It was just a bunch of Juji Ito stuff. So
one of their one of their survivors is just Nicolas Cage.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that game is weird. It's
very weird.
Very weird.
And it started off fairly normal. I remember it being a big deal when they got Ash from Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yep.
Now he's like tame in comparison to everybody else.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, let's wrap it up with a few fun things. We got some set leaks from Fallout Season 2 where we can see a Vegas that is new.
Okay.
A lot of it, these are just like TikToks of somebody like kind of filming around the edges of the sets. And a lot of these look like they're from probably like a flashback version of New Vegas because they're not crapped up or anything. Like they look relatively clean.
The only thing that bums me out about this is it's a shame Matthew Perry's not alive to just be in the game in the show, because that dude was obsessed with Fallout.
Yeah, that's true. There's a few parts of it that are a little like rundown, but yeah, I don't know. It looks good. Like hey, they did good by Fallout on Season 1.
People really liked it.
Season 2 coming at you. So hoping that they don't drop the ball in Season 2. We also got the full trailer.
Speaking of Season 2s.
Yeah, for The Last of Us Season 2. Which I don't know did you watch this?
I didn't, just more because I'm like, I don't really want to care about Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Even if it's in TV form, because I like the first season of Last of Us, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did to Last of Us 2. Yeah. I'm going to pretend it ended right here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. Having played Last of Us 2, there's a bunch of, scenes in here that are relatively iconic from the game.
Yeah.
And again, it looks like they're doing all the high budget justice in the world to the world of The Last of Us. I just wish I had any interest in going there.
I did in the beginning, but that's because I liked the first game a lot.
Yeah.
But knowing how depressing the second game is, I don't have time for depressing at the moment.
They also show a little bit of the religious stuff, like from later in that game, that where it kind of branches off into this very strange place, like later on in the game. But yeah, I don't know. We see some stuff. We see some stuff that looks pretty good. I mean, again, like, I think that people, you know what, Michael? I'm going to say this right now. If I didn't play The Last of Us 2, I would be much more interested in simply watching it as a TV show than I would be as playing it as a video game.
That's fair, actually.
Like, if you had the two of those and you gave me an option, I think I would rather just watch this horror show than have to put the time into doing it and be chastised all the while by the game going like, you monster, and I'm like, you made the rules for this. I'm inside the magic circle, you bitch. Like, don't you try to preach to me about revenge. I don't carry around a coffin, all right? Like, I'm not seeking the revenge that you're talking about.
Here's the thing I will say, I can't wait to see the internet get mad all over again.
Oh god, yes.
I'm so excited just for that alone.
Nothing
I might install Twitter again just to see it.
There's no Abby in any part of this.
So far, no.
I don't think we've seen Abby in any of this.
And as far as we know, Abby won't be utterly fucking Bane buff.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because that was kind of like her whole thing.
Yeah, I always found it weird that they didn't cast a big muscular woman for Abby, because it was part of it. Like,
part of me thinks it's because of what happens later on, but I can't say it without spoiling kind of thing.
Michael, did you see the official Devil May Cry trailer?
I'm both excited and terrified of this show.
The musical choices in these trailers.
It's just so insane.
What is the name of that song that, like, this is my last resort?
I think it's just called Last Resort. I don't remember, to be honest.
Who is it? Who's the band that does that?
I generally don't remember anymore.
I could look it up.
I used to. I wasn't that big in the bands of the guys, if you're wondering.
No, that isn't. I don't know. Okay.
Just put Last Resort song, and then you'll get something, because it put.
Oh yeah, here we go. What is it? This is Papa Roach.
Papa Roach. Okay.
Papa Roach. Papa Roach. Which, I'm like, that's perfect. That is the exact kind of dumbness that Dante would love. Papa Roach.
It's a crazy thing, but it's, as far as I know, it seems more of an adaptation of the Devil May Cry 3 manga than anything else.
Yeah, but what about this?
Which I never really watched. I never really read, so I really don't know what's happening.
What about this rabbit guy? Do you know who the rabbit guy
well,
is?
he's in that manga. I never read the manga, so all I know is he's in that, and it takes place before he gets Ebony and Ivory.
Oh, okay.
Which is why he has just normal 9 mils in the show so far.
We see Dante. We see Rose. Is that who that is? No,
that's just name?
Lady. And then towards the end, we see another very exciting character for fans of the Devils and the Maze and the Cries. I don't know. I honestly think that Adi Shankar is probably the right person to do a Devil May Cry adaptation.
Well, he's the only one who's just willing to put money into just weird, dumb shit.
Yeah,
and I can't help but kind of like him for that reason.
Yeah,
it's I don't know. It's just I'm still interested in it, but it can go either way. Is the problem I have. But that's always how Devil May Cry in general is.
Yeah, no,
you never really know.
This one.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just didn't want to spoil it for the peoples.
For the peoples. And that's coming out at the beginning of April? It's
yeah,
April 8th or something like that.
I'm probably gonna watch
April
it. April 3rd. Okay,
Oh,
I'm probably gonna watch it because I love Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I have one of my other friends who really loves Devil May Cry. He's like, I don't know about this. I'm like, that's fair. So
I mean, it depends.
That's because he doesn't like the song choices. So
it depends on how married you are to Devil May Cry as or how much you need the thing to be the same as it to be faithful, right?
Yeah. But and then, like I said, I've never read the manga that this is clearly getting some basing off of.
Yeah.
So I don't know how faithful it's going to be story wise, but I'm curious either way. So yeah, because there's a lot of stories that never even got translated in English that I know exist. Like there's supposed to be there's a novel between 4 and 5, for instance, that explains what happens to a character from Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, apparently. So I'm just like, I would love to know that story, but there's no translation for it, for as far as I know.
And then last but not least, Lego put out for Mario Day, we got a full-on Mario Kart Lego set. which at first I was a little confused because like, wait, what? This is our Mario Kart. There was that little remote controlled Mario Kart game, but this is just like a Lego statue of Mario driving the kart. So like it doesn't actually move.
Yeah, because I remember wasn't there like a Lego set type one that like was a race track too that we talked about recently?
I don't remember. They put out so many of these fucking things
like that recently.
All I know is that
looks cool though.
It's a pretty nice statue.
Yeah,
it's $170. I'm not going to spend that on a fucking piece of Legos. Like
I don't think I would want to. But if that Mario can stand up on his own or something, with that, he might just be worth it just for the Mario.
The only one that I was interested in was the big question mark block. I like that one.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Mario 64 stuff on the inside.
There's a lot of cool stuff. I like Nintendo's weird partnership with Lego.
Yeah.
Because they've made some really fascinating stuff out of it, but they're always too expensive for me.
Too expensive. That's our show, Michael. We're done.
Yeah.
Tell the people where they can find you when we get out of here, going down the list with me.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie, television reviews. You can also sometimes find me on YouTube under Super Maniacs.
Okay, go check that out. And hey, patreon.com/RageSelect. I'd appreciate it if you would consider donating $5 a month. It takes some time to get all these stories together. And I don't just like, Michael, you know how easy it would be for me just to open up all the news and then just like read it in a row?
Oh, yeah.
But like I've sat here for like 2 hours last night trying to be like, okay, well, this one's about a lawsuit. How can I transition into this next one? Let's just try if I put this one over here and then I like rearrange these four and then I cut these two stories, then I think it'll flow better.
It's way harder than it sounds, guys.
Fucking hate it.
Transitions are hard.
Or just having a logical flow of going from one thing to another.
Also dealing with a crazy person like me.
That's true. That is true. Well, fortunately, me. But yeah, patreon.com/RageSelect. Current sequential is John and I playing Elder Scroll or Shadow of the Erd Tree. Not Elder Scrolls. Elden Ring. God, I'm tired. Okay, I'm leaving. You guys do whatever you want to. I'm just going to set this microphone down. You guys have a pizza party. You can do whatever you want to buy. Bed me. Bed me now. Me now, bed. Bye.